जादू मंतर, जादू मंतर, जादू मंतर। You are going into the future.
You talking to me?
They always be these clothing.
The
Queen is dead.
Hello. Welcome to today's podcast, which was supposed to be a live stream, but eventually changed into a podcast since we didn't have the time to discuss a film we really liked. We have combined it with two films we dislike or hate or
to say the least.
or love in a guilty pleasure way. Alluding to someone here, I guess.
Probably on substance.
And whatever. Anyways, we are discussing three films which are basically about men in Bollywood that have just released in Bollywood recently. They are all enamored with their protagonist men. They have a lot of reverence for all of the characters who are there.
And the sole female person in this entire podcast is looking at us like we are out of our minds.
But I think that's a correct description for like all three. I think all three of the films are actually fairly reverential of their protagonist or whatever real life story this thing is based on.
Reverential sort of worship karta hai.
I mean, two of them definitely do. I think 12th Fail also, which is the one film we all did like, also kind of is fairly in awe of the person. Anyways, for this lovely discussion,
quote unquote,
swear-free discussion.
With Amartya, no chance.
With fucking hell. There you go, number one in the box.
Nice way to destroy the whatever, yes. But yes, we have four lovely people, some angry, some not so much. The loveliest, angriest person is probably Amartya. Who you
I
all
don't
know
think
by
so,
now.
honestly. I don't think so. I don't think I'm the one.
You don't think you're the loveliest or the angriest?
The angriest. The loveliest is here. The loveliest is the female in the group. The loveliest is the female in the group.
Yeah, because that's
after the massacre that these movies have done in theaters and in general, you deserve to call women lovely at this point of time.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for destroying whatever shred of dignity I have. Thank you.
Nice. I shall do that for the rest of the episode.
Please
Isn't
do.
that why you are here?
So that's Ahendrila, again, a voice you have heard before. All voices you've heard before, actually. So introduce करने का वैसे फायदा नहीं है, but फिर भी कर देते हैं. Aryan is the third voice. Aryan
Who is also drunk, partly.
Yeah, who's semi-drunk, I suppose.
Through nose, I don't get drunk. So.
I know about all that. Anyways, what a weird type. Anyways. And then we have Varun with us, joining us. He's our 4G expert, essentially. He's been designated as that today. So,
क्या description है?
He only said, फौजी वाले को फौज के बारे में बात करने के लिए मुझे रोक देना or something like that. I was like, ठीक है.
Stop me from going overboard, basically.
Okay. I will go overboard about that movie, so don't worry.
Someone stop Meghna Gulzar way too early on it.
Oh God.
But anyway.
Already it has started.
Oh God.
Anyways, so those two movies which released last week, which are the very unpopular Animal and
No, that's not unpopular. Don't worry about it. It's very popular. Let's not mince words.
Behave like an alpha male right from the start. At least let him finish his sentence. You're supposed to interrupt women, not men. Calm down.
Alpha males are supposed to interrupt males also. That's why they're alphas.
Sorry, I would not know.
Neither would we. That's why we are depending on Sandeep Reddy Vanga to teach us. Also about Sigma male in his director's cut, which is apparently fucking 4 hours long.
Okay, so before we dive into Animal, I was about to introduce Animal, but I think Amartya has done a great job of introducing the wonderful gift that is Animal.
पापा, ये तो शुरुआत है. बहुत काम बाकी है पापा. उसको मिलना है, मारना है. आप निराश मत होना पापा.
So just to clarify, Varun hasn't seen the film, but he's here. He's not
Don't
wanting
worry.
to see.
Don't
He
worry, you
wanted-
don't need to.
At this
You
point, yeah, I
need
don't need to.
Yes, so Aryan has seen the film online. Amartya has seen the film in the cinema. I
Yes.
stupidly also went to see it in the cinema. And Ahendrila has also seen the film online. So just to clarify, whatever ways we watched it in, how that, shapes our point of view or whatever, I'd like to open the floor with the alpha males first, I suppose, here. Rather than Ahendrila. So, Aryan, what do you think about it?
The member of the PPC.
Oh, fuck off. But yeah, so the thing is that I did not want to pay for this fucking movie. That's why I just watched it at home, and I had no obligation of writing about it whatsoever. And yet, after watching it, because Sandeep Vanga's entire cinema now seems to be all about provoking people and compounding whatever his fan base's appeals are and
You are being
catering to
generous
those
in calling that provocation.
instincts, but also at the same time, giving a provocative response to the critiques, so-called critiques of his earlier films. And
film as in one film, not film.
Yeah.
It's the same film.
And Arjun Reddy, whatever.
It's the same film. It's
It is the
basically a
same
different
film, but
language. Yeah.
But after watching the film, I couldn't help but react to it. So I have been working on a piece which I think I'll be publishing tomorrow. But to just put it briefly, 3 months back, I don't know if you guys have read this.
We haven't.
3 months back, I published a piece on Aryan Films called Cinema of Provocation, and how increasing number of Bollywood propaganda films have been relying on provocative feelings of anger that has seeded into these bigoted and misogynist notions that the far right wing forces in our country have forcefully imposed all around us in our monoculture. So I wrote a piece on that, and this movie justifies why, even if your movie is quote unquote apolitical, it is still going to cater to. It is apolitical on the surface, right? You have
it isn't.
No.
It is though. It is.
I don't think anyone can convince me that this is apolitical by any means.
But it is being made political because of the online discourse and because
I
of the
don't think
inevitable.
it's
No,
made
no, no,
political,
I don't
yaar. I
think
think
so.
he's made it political because of the response to probably his first film, which was probably apolitical.
But then, no. But then, what he's trying to do, like, if you want to get right straight into the movie, then
just
when
give me initial thoughts first, and then because we'll just run through them and then discuss how.
My problem is, see, I don't mind. We've talked about this earlier, and I've
this
talked
is
about this even
sorry.
in that.
This is a spoiler discussion just for people. And again, whoever's not aware of the film, it's basically about a man-child who has daddy issues, so he decides to make everyone's life around him a living hell. But since it is his world, all his animalistic actions are justified. That's what the impression the film gave me, and that's what I've sort of written out here. But anyways, go ahead. Floor is open for you, Aryan, to speak.
But that's what I was saying. See, the thing is that's what I mentioned in that piece that I wrote 3 months back, that I don't mind propaganda films, but make them interesting. Like, make them coherent and convincing enough for the audience to sit through it and at least package it in a well-told, well-structured story. But
this is, for example, Uri. I think that's the biggest star example, I feel.
I think that's the only example that I can think of, but maybe that's my own bias coming in, definitely. So, but Animal, and especially the success that the film has shown in its opening weekend, is like the perfect red herring for the convergence of this pervasive ideology that has penetrated into the community shared space of cinema, right? And this vindictive sort of sheath has blanketed over our monoculture, which was already very polarized during these times since the past many years, right? And this movie is just catering to I know people keep saying, and including the director himself, that it's catering to the vile, the inner vile, that, oh, people would want to feel these things and they can feel them openly while they're watching my movie because I'm original, because I am very unhinged. I don't care about what people may think. I'll be very bloody and I'll go all in. But it's what Amartya said. It's like a 15-year-old child going on a rampage and proving himself like a fool. And I mean, guts to
people like
Vanga
fools. Yeah.
no, but guts to Vanga. I mean, to put out your own insecure male ego so blatantly and foolishly in the mainstream space where it's going to stay in the culture
You don't need
for
guts
years.
for that. If
No,
your
no,
movie
it is
if your
gutsy.
movie can make this much money, you don't need guts for that.
No, but it is guts because
No,
it
no,
is.
I disagree. You certainly require guts for it,
And
but
that
to interrupt.
scene especially where no go, I'll just say one thing. That scene especially, the reason why I say that he's very gutsy to put on his own man-child, stupidly foolish, insecure ego up on the screen, because that scene, that's what it clearly is supposed to mean when
That scene. What is that scene?
his son
There are
Ranbir
lots of that
Kapoor's son,
scenes. You need to specify.
when Ranbir Kapoor's son, when what's his name?
Ranvijay.
Ranvijay, when Vijay's son tells him that, oh no, you're a better director than an actor or something like that.
Better actor than a director.
Better actor than a
Whatever it
director.
is. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
And it's like, no, I'm shooting your wife. See, we are shooting a scene of how toxic our relationship. It's just, and it's not even a well-made film. That's my biggest critique. It's boring.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Boring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Ahendrila, go ahead. You.
Yeah,
you
so
were
no, what I
button-
wanted to ask Aryan is, fine, I understand that there's this line of provocative movies right now in contemporary culture and they are on the rise. But as somebody who watches movies and actively is into culture criticism, let's not talk about movie criticism only, they're criticizing culture and pop culture. Where do you think Animal may be the first pillar of a rampage of movies like this, or do you
Yeah.
think it sets the trend for it to only get worse? Because I personally feel absolutely disheveled by the movie just because I don't see this trend stopping. Either you can take it as a hilarious joke, like a spoof on a spoof, and you can laugh it out and forget about the film, or you can, I mean, there are several triggering points. You can get triggered, you can write essays on it. But the trouble is, even if something is provocating you, there has to be a means, like there has to be a goal that it is reaching, right?
Yeah.
What is the goal of provocative cinema now then? And how does Animal, how do you think, or anybody, all the four of you think that Animal may be contributing to that discourse where it only makes filmmakers more and more confident to display their male guts on screen because of trying to prove a certain point? But what is this hollow point that you are trying to prove by making provocative cinema? I'm sorry, it's a very broad
No,
spectrum
it's completely in context with this. But I genuinely think that obviously it is, when we talk about such giant movies that are clearly doing well at the box office, it's clear that it's not going to just stick to that. It's not going to be mutually exclusive to just phase that Hindi cinema will go through and it will just fade away. But I also think that no other filmmaker, at least in the next few months and years, would come close to what Vanga has achieved over here in terms of igniting the discourse around a particular movie, because he is also, apart from provocating his audience and his critics, he's also directly in conversation with them, right? Through his previous film. Yeah,
through
and
this
in
film
that
only,
sense,
he's sort of addressing a lot of
and
it.
that's precisely why a lot of people, foolishly so, are already tagging him as an auteur. Comparing him to all these great directors, which I
think he is an auteur, but his stamp for auteurship is what Ahendrila is saying. The rhetoric,
exactly.
what
Yeah,
Ahendrila
no,
is saying,
see,
that
40
is the
years from
auteurship.
now,
Yeah,
40
Yeah.
years from now, a film school will have a module on provocative cinema, and they are going to actually teach this movie in
In
classrooms and
Hindi
tell
cinema,
children
yes.
that,
Yeah.
this is the film that set this trend, or like that
definitely.
blasted this trend on the
Yeah.
on the big screen and things like that. So he is an auteur in his own right.
Hmm,
Like
definitely.
that's
I'm
there.
sorry, but I
But
have to give visual cues of what Amartya is doing because it is quite funny. He
Hmm.
sounds like he seems like his face is gonna fall off his head or something. Because I think what Ahendrila is saying, which is a good concern to have also. Like I would also be quite concerned. Like if this is taught, if what you're right, it will be taught after
Yeah.
40 years, and yeah, it is very depressing and sad, I suppose. So
yeah,
Ahendrila,
it is
yes,
sad.
yeah.
And similarly, like I must counter Aryan here and
Hmm.
put it out there that it's a very political film, and
Hmm.
apolitical does not exist. Sorry, but
On the
that's just very
surface, of course, it's political. That's why it's provocating critics, right? But in its packaging, I still don't think that a lot of people who are watching it, I'm not talking about critics and I'm not talking about people who know what it's trying to provoke. But
no, but
for
then
majority of people,
how
it is.
no, but then why? Like you can
Hmm.
always put on display a woman who's like a Hindu woman who
Hmm.
is doing Karwa Chauth
Yeah.
and praising the husband and like still going back to the husband and all of that. But only Muslim wives during the marriage ceremony of their
Hmm.
husband smoke and talk about how they got
Hmm.
married to a disabled
Oh
man just
yeah.
because they
But
prefer
that's the
silence over.
norm. That's why it's more fucked up because you can get away with these things now in the mainstream cinematic landscape because more and more directors have come to realize that, again, this is a political conversation now, but more and more filmmakers are realizing that feelings, whenever they are evoking sentiments, like can be religious sentiments or nationalistic sentiments, those films are not working, but it's only those films that are provoking rather than evoking emotions that are clearly working at the box office. And Vanga, I mean, you can have all kinds of opinions about how he makes films or whatever, but he knows how to package that in a way that at least on the surface can masquerade as being a political mass entertainment that is. And again, it's mass entertainment, but it's boring because we have seen all these vanity mass projects in the past couple of years for some
Months,
of our
years,
favorite actors.
whatever. Yeah, yeah. No, I was about to
Yeah, yeah,
say, like, I think what
yeah.
Indra is saying about, and please, Amartya and Varun, join in wherever you want
Mm.
to. But I think what Indra is saying about this trend continuing, I feel the trend is there in any case.
Yeah.
I don't know. See, I'm not as well versed in the South film industry as I think we've had
Mm.
many guests who are. But I feel the whole
Artya.
inheriting. Nee, I think like people from the South themselves, we've had
Yeah.
guests who it's sort of like Adityan's bread and butter, sort of like that.
Mm.
So I feel it's like I don't want to bracket the whole of the South industry as such, but a lot
Yeah.
of the values that have been inherited or what are being taken in terms of the directors and in terms of the notions of masculinity or whatever you want to say, it is becoming more and more or going again to the Ranbir Kapoor in this film is introduced as superstar Ranbir Kapoor, right? That whole glowing image.
That's an entire different conversation.
No,
No, no,
so
but I feel this trend sort of links into this whole hyper masculine image, which I think I mean I think I said this is the first time I've been this disconnected with Shah Rukh Khan, at least this year. And it was
Yeah.
because he's not hyper masculine compared to, of course, these people, but
Mhm.
there is a sort of machismo on display which I find very hard to get with as a personal, because I've not connected with it simply as such. But like I'm just saying that trend, what Ahendrila is saying, is already in motion, and I feel
Mhm.
it's not going to stop anytime soon. Of course, if Animal is making what 350, 400 odd crores in the first weekend, why will it stop, right?
but okay, Dhruv, here's the thing. First of all, the box office thing is, I think, suspect because if you jack up ticket prices, that
Mhm.
thing
Okay,
is going to so, and nobody's reporting footfalls properly anymore.
Yeah.
okay.
That's the second thing. So,
Hmm.
but that aside, I've read a couple of pieces which are lumping this on Vanga being a Telugu director. I
Mhm.
don't agree with that, and I'll tell you
Mhm.
why. because hyper masculinity has always existed in Hindi cinema. It's
Mhm.
just that for the longest time, Bhai was the only one doing it.
Yes, fair
Right?
enough.
There was a
Yeah.
time when Ranbir was tapping into the sensitive urban male in a
Yes.
film like Tamasha, or even you can't really call it urban, but even something like Barfi, it was tapping into a completely different sort of a person. But
Yeah.
when those films stopped working, they are all basically going off of what Bhai has done in the last 10-14 years.
Thank you.
Post,
Thank you.
post,
I was just
post,
going to bring that up.
post Wanted, they've just
Yeah.
now they've all jumped onto the bandwagon, right? And
Mm.
most prominently Ranbir, because his films have not done well.
Mm.
You look at the track, right? It's this one. Before
Remind
this,
me again, what is his last successful movie?
Sanju, I think.
Yeah,
Sanju.
the
18.
biography, the
In which
biography of a
actually
guy,
in this
the
Of a
biography of
toxic,
a guy.
hyper masculine,
Yes,
insecure prick.
yes.
in this actually he looks a lot like that. Actually, so
Yeah.
he reminded me of Sanjay Dutt in a couple of scenes.
Yeah,
also,
if Anil Kapoor's character was actually played by Sanjay Dutt, it would have been
Hmm.
perfect casting.
Mhm.
Except Anil Kapoor is probably a better actor.
Anil
That's
Kapoor, I
neither here
was
nor there.
We're not
kind
talking
of
about
their acting
disappointed in
prowess.
this film, honestly. But
No,
okay.
so my point is that I think Vanga has just tapped into a sense of also the whole discourse around the hyper masculine, as both Aryan and Ahendrila talked about, is that you look at how many people, how many young men today, younger than me and Aryan,
Mhm.
are
Sabki
into
age bata do.
Sure,
no.
सबकी age बता दो.
I'm basic. Okay, so I'm 24. I'll
Oh,
say go with
great!
a
You are
17-year-old.
literally telling this now.
Go with a
Very much.
17-year-old. Okay, so somebody born in the mid 2000s is looking up at a person like Andrew Tate and taking positive inspiration from that kind of character. For whatever reason, these guys are all just part of a machinery feeding that demand that exists.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that excuses it. I'm just saying that they are making hay while the sun is shining. Tomorrow, if Vanga realizes these movies aren't going to work anymore,
He's going to
he
switch
will
gears.
say, I have come of age and this is my
Yeah, of course you can
sensitive
spin a
love
narrative
story.
anyway.
Yeah, you can make that.
Yes.
And also what Aryan and Andrila were talking about again about the politics of the film is that based on the marketing itself, it's very much that, massy entertainer that Aryan was talking about. But the fact that it is using these negative sort of pejoratives almost to come after groups and packaging them in a way that normalizes it.
Exactly. That's what I meant.
That is the problem, is that
it's doing it very matter of fact.
It's not that there's no overt ideological mechanism involved.
No, of course. I don't want to give the filmmakers that much credit for it, but it is petulant. It's the reaction. If someone gives a reaction, the one thing you have is give an immediate reaction. There's
Not
nothing
just
like
that.
a thought out or whatever. Of course,
It's also
what can you
that
expect?
Vanga has cred from the time of Arjun Reddy for having brought up caste in a manner that is considered progressive. So he is going the other route now and seeing if that also will work. He is basically that dude who will ignite both sides of the firecracker and seeing if the explosion can be bigger.
But Varun, what you were saying, I think makes a fascinating movie. Actually, what you're saying, if you're igniting both sides of the war,
Which this
makes
movie
a-
is
not in the same film.
Which
He's doing
this
it
movie
separately,
isn't.
right?
That is the problem. Then I feel, for me at least, if you can
But
do
he's
the
not going to do
provocation.
it.
ठीक है नहीं okay Amartya, you have been remarkably quiet. Please pitch in.
Because I wanted everybody to speak their goddamn minds about this movie, because apparently this movie is destroying everybody's brains right now. Here's the thing. This is the question which we are currently facing right now is, what is criticism actually? It's film criticism, it's analysis, right? It's film analysis. How am I going to analyze this movie and just focus it on what messages is it telling me? Why should I even focus on the goddamn messaging when the movie is not even well made?
No, that's a fair argument. That's a fair argument.
I don't care. Okay, I really.
But what did you not like
care.
about the filmmaking is what I'm going to ask now, because you said.
Wait, hold on. The thing about this is Arjun Reddy and Kabir Singh. First of all, Arjun Reddy and Kabir Singh are the same movie. Vanga, you can eat all the shit you want. That's true. You made basically the same movie. Fuck off. So Arjun Reddy and Kabir Singh, both of those movies as much as they have problems, and they have lots of problems, they are still far better made than I had expected them to be, especially Kabir Singh to a certain degree.
Yeah.
The problem here is this movie, if he had wanted to make a gangster movie, which he clearly wanted to do, because for some reason people think that The Godfather is the only template of a gangster movie ever made. So let's focus all our riffs on The Godfather. It's not as if the Ram Gopal Verma hasn't made a Godfather riff before. But anyway, so
Or
we have-
Mani Ratnam before him.
or Mani Ratnam before him, yes. So no, let's go back and let's redo The Godfather. Fine, no problem. You're redoing The Godfather, everything is going hunky-dory, everything is going fine. You're even introducing Tripti Dimri's character as a version of Apollonia. We are not going into what he did with Tripti Dimri's character because that is foolish as fuck. So, but then you're also introducing in this movie your commentary, because you're a petulant man-child who can't handle criticism any better than a fucking 2-year-old. You are going to now introduce, and not even that, you are going to verbatim take Anupama Chopra's quotes, Sucharita Tyagi's quotes, each and every of these critics' quotes. You are going to verbatim change them slightly because most of the people who are watching your movies are incels anyway, who don't know how to read. So you are
We
going
watch
to
their
take,
movies.
so you take those quotes and then you put them in the dialogues, and then you use them to respond to those criticisms. What are you doing? Seriously, what are
Sir,
you doing? If that is a no, hold on. First of all, if that is a provocation, that is weak sauce. That's not
Yeah.
provocation. You can just go fly the fuck off the handle at this point. Okay, that is weak sauce provocation of the highest
You want
order.
to interrupt?
No, don't. Number two, don't. No, don't. Number two,
His inner vial has.
Jao,
That is how alpha males behave.
thank you.
FYI.
Thank you.
To anyone
Thank you.
listening,
Yes, thank you. Number two, for people who are comparing him to Lars von Trier and Gaspar Noé, first of all, watch Lars von Trier movies and then come and talk to me about him, comparing him with Lars von Trier. Come the fuck on.
I will butt in a little bit. I understand the Lars von Trier comparisons, to be honest.
No, I understand the Lars von
Yeah.
Trier comparison too, but people also need to realize that Lars von Trier is also actually a great filmmaker.
Yeah, he's a great writer and he has self-awareness, which
writer,
I
he has a
don't
great- and
think
he's
the
a great
self-awareness
filmmaker.
is a big problem here. There is none
Yeah.
here, I think.
There is
There's
none
too
here.
much of a
Yes.
you
Number
know,
three, somebody also told me, and this is a legitimate point, that having a moral compass for a filmmaker is actually secondary.
Mm.
You know, if you are going to make a fascistic movie, that's completely fine, as long as you make a movie, as long as art is supposed to exist. Okay, fine, cool. Art is supposed to exist. You can make a fascistic movie all you want. We have Birth of a Nation. We have Olympia. We have Triumph of the Will. All of those movies already exist. It's
PM
fine.
Modi.
Yes, of course.
The movie, of course.
Yes. And
Yeah.
then, now, since you have brought up that movie, I'm going to bring up a point here. That movie is a dog pile of a movie because that movie is not well made at all. We
Which
also have
movie?
Kerala Story.
So unfortunate, yeah. It could have been such a great.
Yeah,
has
Sorry.
a doctor ever told you that maybe you need high pressure medication?
No, we also have a Kerala Story here, which is
Kosi,
also extremely
Vanga.
bad. And that's the problem. It's not the problem that you have both sides of the argument, or you have a liberal sized argument, or you have a movie which is, toxic, misogynistic, however much you say it. It's not a problem. Just make a goddamn good movie. Come the
Yeah.
fuck on.
Well, okay, can I slightly pivot the discussion and ask you if there are elements that you actually liked about the film?
Yes. There is a
We'll start with you, considering you're already in
Yes.
full steam.
but
Yes.
also before we go there,
Yeah.
Ahendrila, you wanted to interrupt. The floor is yours.
I'm just laughing.
Did he bolo
Yeah,
sir?
So
you wanted to
gentleman.
interrupt. You wanted to say
I
anything.
wanted to interrupt to ask which 2-year-old you are criticizing. You said 2-year-old who can't take criticism, and I was like, but 2-year-old child, why will you criticize? Such small baby only, no? So that was my
Yeah,
interruption.
you're describing manga only. Thank you. It's fine. Chalega.
नहीं
Also,
बोलो आपको अच्छा क्या लगा सर?
no. See, here's the thing. Ranbir Kapoor has made 2 movies this year.
हाँ.
The other movie, which is such a
सही है ना,
masterpiece
भाई
of a
भाई है
movie.
दोनों,
ये भाई भाई
रणबीर
है,
कपूर दोनों
such a
का।
masterpiece, such a masterpiece of a movie. I can imagine
भाई भाई
Varun
है और
laughing his
भाई
ass
जैसा
off.
भी है.
I can imagine Varun laughing his ass off. And this is Tu Jhuti Main Makkar. Now the thing about this movie and Tu Jhuti Main Makkar is, in Tu Jhuti Main Makkar, Ranbir Kapoor's character is a smug a-hole who I can't stand, because that character has no character arc, nothing.
Is it because he's from Delhi though that you have a problem with him?
No, believe me, no.
Should
But
be reason enough, but
should be reason enough. True.
Both
Should
Delhi
be
you think-
characters though, right?
हाँ, ये भी तो
Yeah,
दिल्ली का ही है।
should
दोनों
be
Delhi के
reason
हैं।
enough.
Do you
Should be
think
reason enough, to be
Ranvijay
fair.
has
Should
a
be
character arc though?
should
You
be
think-
reason should be reason enough though, but
Really?
also yeah, he has a character arc. Hold on. So there is a reason, but by that logic,
Sir,
I should
sir.
also hate Dhruv. I don't, right? So that's fine.
सर
Chalega.
मैं गुंडा नहीं हूँ।
You are a Delhi boy. By that
He's a
reason,
South Delhi boy. Let's be very.
yes.
he doesn't live in Delhi.
हाँ, मैं barely
That
आया
doesn't
था।
matter, he was
Other
born
cities
there.
of the world have
Achha.
reformed his manners.
हाँ,
and
exactly. Yeah.
Has it though?
Ahendrila
Chalo,
met
chalo.
me. She can confirm.
See, I confirm.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm not even going there. Okay.
I
No,
have
but
no
I
idea.
think but
बोलो
I
आप
think
सर, बोलो।
his
हाँ.
character of Ranvijay is actually, as much as he could be repugnant or however he is, his character is actually compelling. And I think one of the primary reasons is because of Ranbir Kapoor's performance. I think he was very tuned into this performance, honestly. He actually looked interested, unlike in Tu Jhuti Main Makkar, where his eyes look like a goddamn zombies. So in that regard, his character actually worked.
श्रद्धा कपूर को मैच करना पड़ता है सर।
I have a conspiracy theory, being based on the trailers of Tu
We're
Jhuti Main
not
Makkar.
selling
No.
Yes.
our
सुनो
stance on them.
जो उसका था ना पूरा, his
Yeah.
facial gymnastics or lack thereof, I'm going to explain it as being the Henry Cavill effect, कि वो animal वाली दाढ़ी के साथ आया था and they had to CG the दाढ़ी out.
Oh, yeah, makes sense.
Nice conspiracy theory.
That's a very nice conspiracy theory. That is so
Because
nice,
that's
it
what
might
we
actually
need
be
more
true.
of when it comes to
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also I did like that Sandeep Reddy Vanga actually knows how to make an action sequence. Because he's kind of like, he knows how to cut it, and he also took the bright idea of taking music and not actually choreographing a song or a dance sequence in it. He took the music and he's choreographing action sequences. Both of the primary songs, the songs which are the most catchy, all of them are scored to action sequences. So the interval block, which was the 20-minute action sequence, I actually liked that, because I thought that was the one time his entire focus on this movie being a gangster movie actually is working, because he's making an ultra violent action movie. If he actually made this ultra violent action movie, or if he made the movie about a father son ka obsessive story, this would have worked, honestly.
I mean, उसका core तो वही है, but sir.
Yeah, but उसका core वही है, but उसका father का relationship first half में say for 30 minutes it is there.
I agree.
Then it's gone. Then it's gone.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not there.
Yeah.
And I think the father character is also very, very inconsistent. I genuinely think that all of this, he just took the template. He didn't take anything else.
Specificities he didn't take, essentially, of like what the nooks and
right, because
the specificities he did take, which I again appreciate, is the fact that he completely is focusing on the Punjabi aspect of it, to the extent that they had to go to a village, they had to get his cousins, they are completely conversing in fluent Punjabi. It's a debate as to how good Ranbir Kapoor's Punjabi accent is, but we are not going there. But he's focusing a lot on that. He's focusing a lot on, rootedness as much as he could. Rootedness and all the stuff he could possibly put into it. And again, those are the stuff I appreciate. I appreciated those facts because those actually made me realize that, there must be a movie in here somewhere.
There is.
Hidden beneath all the morasses and all the other bullshit that he's trying to peddle. All the self-reflexive attitude that he's doing. Because I don't know if people are I don't know if people had, blinders on when they were watching the movie and they're saying that it's not a commentary. It is. It is a commentary on the commentary of Kabir Singh. That's exactly what it is. He's pointing each and every part of it out. He has written his wife's character, which I remember, Dhruv, you were saying that the wife's character is intriguing. It's not. It's very
I
inconsistent.
do think there's so I'll tell you, I'll just minorly sort of interrupt here. I've actually found the two female characters in the two films of his most interesting, and unfortunately, he's not interested in them.
He's not
Which is-
interested in them. Yes.
Which is I think they are fascinating characters in the way they become submissive. Why do they become submissive? What causes them, etc., etc.? Why do they decide to go on with all this? I don't need answers, but if you tune into their frequencies, it's done more here than in Arjun Reddy, I think. Like, I think
Yeah,
Rashmika
but again-
Mandanna gets a
Because
couple of-
Arjun Reddy was a subjective story, right?
Yeah.
No, it
But
was
again-
That's what it was.
But
Was
again,
it?
it's also like if you're taking the female aspect of it, and Ahendrila, feel free to join in. It's like if you're going to put that into the equation, you also have to realize that
Giving you the permission.
it's like you're asking them to
Now I've become submissive in this conversation. I was waiting
yes,
for
exactly.
to join in.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
yes.
sir. I
Yes,
shall
yes.
chip in now.
Yes. So
Amartya
thing-
shows the middle finger. Sorry.
Yes. the thing about that is, how are you going to make the character like Rashmika Mandanna's character different enough that the critics will think that, oh my god, look at how progressive is actually becoming. Oh my god, this is interesting. Is Sandeep Reddy Vanga actually going to change? And then immediately in the next scene, he goes back to that same thing again.
Yeah.
You know?
I understand what you mean. I do
It's
think
every
there are
s-
interesting kernels of ideas though with their relationship.
There
I
is
was
just one
intrigued
scene.
a little bit.
Yeah, there is just
The one big
scene
scene. The big
The
scene,
one
I
big
suppose,
scene.
where she shouts a lot.
where she shouts, and that
Yeah.
scene on paper, that scene
Yeah.
works. In a vacuum, on paper, that scene works. That scene doesn't work in the film because number one, Rashmika Mandanna is a shit actress. Number two, immediately after that scene, they hug, they kiss, and then they kind of sort of reenact a marriage story scene, which I was like, what a weird reference to do.
I don't know if it was.
Okay,
I
I
didn't get that.
texted
I will
Amartya
actually
while watching
hit
that
you.
scene, and
No.
I was like,
Hold on,
Yeah.
hold on.
Go ahead.
Yeah, what? Hold on, what?
No, I will actually hit you. I'll travel to Jalpaiguri and hit you if you destroy marriage story for me. No.
I'm not destroying marriage story. He literally referenced that scene. I'm not even kidding.
ripped it off.
He ripped it off.
I
I'm
didn't
sorry,
even
I'm being
watch this.
generous.
Shot
I'm
by
being generous. Yeah, I'm being generous at saying referenced.
But I feel there are still like I don't know. I feel there's an inherent confusion with her character, which I at least got a fair bit of even after that moment where she basically leaves his house in the end, and then it's that I don't know. I thought there was something there in terms of, because I think there's a part of this movie that's actually not doing the whole ultra misogynistic that thing, and it's going for this thing of let's be more transparent and brutally honest and crass or whatever we feel like to each other. Like, I felt there is a part of the film that pushes towards that angle more than being just reactionary and idiotic essentially in terms of its
But it's
politics.
And it's also like, if you're going to say, oh my god, if you're going to be completely different from yourself and actually give the female character some quote unquote agency in your movie, the one thing when you're giving the female character the agency is be consistent and give her agency throughout the movie. You are not going to give the female character agency and then immediately pull it back just for narrative's sake.
But it's a man's world, right, Amartya? That's what the character says.
That's what the
Don't you
characters
know
are
that?
saying. No, absolutely not. As much as I absolutely did not know that you need 4 pads. But again, yeah.
Any other thoughts, guys?
What the fuck was that?
Ahendrila, any
Have I
other
missed
thoughts?
this scene?
No,
There
you
is some
haven't.
no, I don't think so.
The one, the
The
exchange
on the
stairs.
stairs, he's saying
महीने
that,
में 4 pads or whatever. that
हाँ,
shit is like.
आपको महीने में 4 पैड्स बदलने में प्रॉब्लम होती है, मैं एक दिन में 50 बदलता हूँ or
मैं दिन
something
में
like that.
50 बदलता हूँ.
That is when he becomes
Okay,
is
but
on his quote unquote deathbed essentially.
But why is this man using pads as bandage?
नहीं वो मरने वाला है.
Also,
Uh,
another interesting. Wait, hold on. Also, another interesting thing which I liked because for
वरना
one
ego मर जाएगा wife के साथ.
yeah.
So he's bandaging that.
For some reason, Vanga also decided to show consequence of such a brutal action scene. So immediately after that action scene happens, we see that his body is suffering. So I was like, oh, nice.
Actions have consequences.
Actions have
Wow.
consequences in this world, and then immediately pulls it back.
I don't know. I to think the action scene is the weakest part of the film. So I mean, I am on a different page completely.
Both
here, I
you
think.
don't like action movies only.
That is
your
not
problem.
true. No. I think the interval block essentially. I had heard praises about the interval block, but I was like, you don't need to slap on like 25 minutes of just stuff before it to create a great interval block. A great interval block is RRR, where they both mesh together.
A
and
great
like,
interval block is Leo.
हाँ वो
Fantastic.
आपने देखी है ना मैंने नहीं देखी इसलिए मैंने RRR का एग्जांपल दिया.
Yeah.
Anyways, like I thought there was, I mean, 3 hours 25 minutes is anyways always a little too long for any film, but here I thought there could have been at least an hour chopped off somehow. So
At least.
At least.
Okay.
तो आप तो सर पूरी पिक्चर चॉप ऑफ कर देते. अब वो नहीं हो सकता ना.
No,
Anyways,
you remove all
Yeah.
that self-reflexive nonsense. Also, what is with that subplot of Tripti Dimri's character? Number one, what function does Tripti Dimri's character actually have? That is number one.
Plot,
And
no?
number
Plot progression.
वो plot था?
No,
Number-
but very important point before your number two. Wait, I have interrupted you at the
Oh,
right
your
place.
number 2.
Thank
The
you.
point is that he is smoking. She takes the cigarette and just goes, and I'm like, sister, heart के साथ no connection. That is lungs. Side by side है organ, but not heart.
Yes.
That's when you know physiotherapists are not real
That's why you
doctors.
know physiotherapist actually doctor नहीं है.
I was just like, okay, I mean, but he was smoking. Why did you have to stop him from smoking? Because there's no direct connection. But then I was like, okay, cool, fine. This is just.
See, I know that.
नहीं उसको
Aryan
would like
proving
you-
he's a real
I
doctor.
would like to
Aryan is literally
Aryan.
Aryan is proving his bona fides at this point in this podcast.
No, but you know what? Another thing that actually pissed me off when
Is it a medical thing?
Please
No.
let it be a medical thing.
it's a political thing. So
God.
when the movie went on and on about Swastik Company or whatever stupid
Swastika
name it's-
company.
Yeah.
I should say this
It's
though.
called-
मैं कल सुबह post office गया था and right outside the post office was a dentist called Swastik Dental Care. So this is apparently just a thing.
सारे
उनका
भी वही है
नौजवान
side?
लोग को मचा पड़ा है.
हाँ same.
Same sign?
No.
Okay.
No. It's
रणबीर
also
वहाँ पे भी
ऐसे-
था.
no. It's also like Aryan. ये swastik का जो scene है, he takes that scene and he also chooses to comment on that also. कि Nazi-
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's see, throughout the movie, I was like, chal, at least he's being very bluntly fascist. कि है तो है. I'm convinced about my provocation of whatever shit. But then it's like clarifying and being like, oh, you fucking liberals.
You know
like,
that
fuck
line.
off.
You know when he says
But
that line.
it's-
You know when he says that line, you completely realize that he took 4 years to write this movie. Like he's also like Ayan
अकेला
Mukherjee.
नहीं
only.
लिखा उसने by the way. हाँ.
He's like Ayan Mukherjee.
हाँ,
only.
4
4
writers.
साल लगाता है.
4 writers. Huh?
4
Ayan Mukherjee
years.
10 साल लगाता है.
4 years.
4 years, 4 writers. This
4
movie is
years,
better
4
than
writers.
Brahmastra.
हर
I'm
year
sorry,
में
but
एक
I have to
writer
say
लगाता
that.
है. Ayan Mukherjee 10 साल लगाता है. ये 4
Flexibility
साल
very
लगा
high in this company.
No, but
आप
he
उससे
took-
बात करो Ahendrila next book adaptation के बारे में. He
Yes.
should be your project.
he should be like, matlab, 4 years he takes to write this, and you know for a fact that
Give
all
me, I
this-
will edit.
yes, you will edit.
पूरी script edit हो जाएगी.
पूरी script edit हो जाएगी.
It'll begin with hello, sir. Following are changes that I'm suggesting. Please don't take them to heart, but please make the changes. Your
Sir,
editor.
Number
Hard to
one,
bada-
throw
hard
the
to है
script
नहीं
in
ना.
the trash. Number one, throw the script in the trash.
No, I had a question for Aryan. Aryan, the swastika thing that you're talking about, did it feel off because like he was going all gung ho कि तुमने मेरा culture appropriate किया या Westerners
Exactly. I think
appropriated my
it's
culture.
all about reclaiming. See, that's when the
Hmm.
movie becomes pervasively political for me.
मैं तो
Because
भूल
up
गया
until
कब
that
था
point,
ये, कब था ये, होता कब है,
or
भूल गया
Ranbir
मैं.
Kapoor's
Church
exchange
में,
around the
church में.
cars. No,
Church
outside the church,
में
while leaving the church.
to
So
who?
you're saying
To
it
his
doesn't
wife?
feel genuine. It's just for
हाँ
Exactly.
वो
है तो
है.
है.
It feels very pervasive in that sense because it's also certain. When we talk about what it means in the larger sense, it is very pervasive because it's all about reclaiming the
The larger
Hindu-ness, the
narrative of
culture. Yeah.
But
all the
And
वो
you
elements.
know what other scene goes completely well with this? The Yagna scene. That's where the movie becomes political for me. But the
Yagan,
masquerading
when
aspect
what is
is
this? I've forgotten this movie.
Yagna
I've seen
scene
it
में
3 years before.
घर पे देखना था ना
Gaumutra.
आपको.
He drinks that.
Gaumutra.
Yeah,
Yes,
Gaumutra
yes,
scene, yeah.
yes.
yeah.
Okay, okay.
That's where it becomes. That's when I knew that. Oh, of course.
हाँ तो but वो
Clearly,
सब वो जैसे आपके I'm sorry I'm invoking this movie. I know you guys will kill me. Just like how in Killers of the Flower Moon, you have a filmmaker lumping in 5 things or 4 things together and basically, you know, saying this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. आप उसका inverse सोचो ये है in a much less polished filmmaker and a much more edgelordy way that someone is basically, you know, in Killers of the Flower Moon, White Man, Science, what all is there, Amartya? और क्या था? 2 और जो चीजें थी यार.
इसमें
अरे Killers
मुझे
of the
क्यों
Flower
पूछ
Moon
रहा
में
है?
basically the 4 regressive things are horrible, right? Like
Yeah.
Sandeep Reddy is kind of doing that in a very edgelordy way
Reverse
here.
way.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. But
Yeah.
also the thing about this is that at this at this point it's
बोलो
like
बोलो बोलो. हाँ.
it's like if you are going to say that this movie is political, it's like come on, he made a customized machine gun which looks like a huge phallic object, and he made it
All
made in
guns look like phallic
Yeah.
objects, sir.
He's
No,
what
no,
Kannu
these-
Behl at this point.
yeah basically.
Yikes.
Agra reference.
This
No,
only
he
Varun
made-
will get. None of us have seen it.
he
None of us
put
have
it
seen it.
he put a made in India ka
Yes,
stamp
yes.
in that scene.
Dialogue भी तो है.
Dialogue भी तो है, and he also
अरे public duffer है उनको समझ कैसे आएगा?
ये तो ये political है.
Ahendrila, I will leave the last word of this movie to you.
No, I
you-
have a question for Ahendrila
Okay.
after she's finished speaking.
Sure. So
Who is
or you
finished
can
speaking?
ask-
She's not
Ask
speaking
before,
only.
No,
She's not
ask,
speaking
ask
only.
before.
Thought.
No, ask before she'll answer that.
Haan. So a lot of the stuff that I've read about the film written by women has been about feeling not a change but a certain temperature shift within the theater itself in how people now feel emboldened to publicly behave with women given such a film. How do you see that panning out, and how did it pan out for you in a larger sense, even though you didn't watch it in the theater?
Okay. See, to go back in time, I watched Kabir Singh in a theater, and I watched Kabir Singh in a small town theater with my mother. And where I was sitting there, where it was a morning show or an afternoon show, sometime during daytime show. And there were a lot of couples around. It was a weekend. And I saw how when they are seeing the kind of hypermasculinity that even a Kabir Singh stands for on screen, the body language of men change because somehow they feel that their egos are being represented and put up on screen. So this is how women who are their partners should behave.
They feel seen, you
Uh,
mean to say? They feel seen,
yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, alpha
Yeah,
males
they-
also
they
need to be
feel-
seen.
Yeah, they feel
अबे
seen.
अबे कोई ये अल्फा को हटाओ ना इस कॉन्वर्सेशन से.
But है ही alpha, वो ही लाता है भाई कॉन्वर्सेशन में स्टार्टिंग में. तो क्या
तो
बोलूं
हमें
मैं?
क्यों लाना पड़ेगा
क्योंकि हम
भाई?
बेटा है ना सर.
तो बीटा तो अल्फा को इग्नोर करो ना.
I'm just saying
Continue.
that.
I'm sorry,
No,
Ahendrila,
Ahendrila,
I'm sorry.
please go ahead. Yes.
Go
This is a nuclear charged conversation.
Yes.
Sorry, that was bad joke.
Nice.
Very
No,
bad.
it was
episode.
good. It was
Extremely
good.
bad joke.
ये जोक आप क्रिस नोलन को बोलो अपनी पिक्चर में डाले ताकि बेटर हो पिक्चर.
Oh, fuck
No,
off.
but
Oh,
That
fuck
was
off.
सारी दुनिया जला
Oh,
देंगे.
yes, that was सारी दुनिया जला देंगे. Please, Ahendrila,
Sorry,
continue.
Ahendrila, go ahead.
Yes.
No. So the thing is, I have detectively seen the body language of men change, and how there automatically comes in that question of oh, this is how a relationship is supposed to be, and this is how you are supposed to behave uh, in a small town theater, which is why I personally was very enraged by Kabir Singh when it came out, because I was just like, oh, this is what cinema has, that power, and Kabir Singh is exercising the very power that cinema has as a visual medium to influence popular opinion and popular imagination. And Kabir Singh enraged me, which is why which was one of the reasons why I chose to not watch Animal on the big screen yet, because I was like, I can't sit in a theater where and now I'm in Delhi. Oh my God, where there will be
And the movie is
testosterone
3
rich,
hours long. The movie is 3
yeah,
hours long.
and testosterone rich audience members who will just be like, oh, this is what we do. So
अरे
that
लौंडे
I
तो
did
ऐसे ही
not.
होने चाहिए.
Exactly. So
Uh,
that is what I did not want to subject myself.
बाहर
So I
आके ऐसे
did not
बात
make
कर रहे हैं
such.
बहुत टाइम के बाद, कोई नॉर्मल मूवी देखी यार, ये तो
yeah.
मिसिंग था बॉलीवुड.
Everybody would be like, "Arey, dash," because people can't speak without. Let's not be over. But yeah, so the point is, "Arey,
Why
dash."
am I the only one here?
Because you're the only one
No,
who
Abhi,
cares.
Thank you. Thank you. That's my
People would have
identity
been
in
like,
this podcast.
cinema is alive. Scorsese वाला
Please
standing
do
out
not
for
bring.
No, but
I made the mistake of bringing in Scorsese now,
Bringing
and
him
my
in,
fault.
yeah.
But you
Yeah.
don't. Let's not extend the conversation.
no, but
But
because
yeah, go on.
of that, I understand the rage around it.
Mhm.
Which is why I posed that question in the first place to Aryan, ki where do you think this is going? Because it is genuinely concerning. I watched the film while making food. I was dancing to the music. Wait, I was dancing to the music and everything. No. But the point is, I am genuinely concerned. I am genuinely concerned by the display of male prowess on screen, which belittles and humiliates and doesn't and thinks that you can, if a woman is around you and is probably somebody, your like your sister or your mother or your partner, whoever, you can casually slap them, you can casually hold them by their throat, and that is problematic. It
You
is
know
very
what
problematic.
I'm more
Can I
concerned
answer
about?
that question?
We
Can I
Go on,
answer? The question which you wanted to ask Aryan, and Aryan answered it in a more or less satisfactory manner.
This is the last 5 minutes allotted to this film, sir. I am not. We are not
No,
making
no,
this
I
whole
get that. I get that.
podcast.
I wanted
there's-
to answer this question because this is a very important question. I don't think that this is the beginning of the pillar, like Aryan was saying, Ahendrila. I don't think this is the beginning, or this is the first pillar to be, to be broken.
If
I
it
think
was the
this-
beginning, it wouldn't have won 400
Yeah,
crores
I think
directly.
this has been. I think these pillars have been there for a very long time. This has been going on for a very long time. There is a reason why movies like Pushpa earns a lot of money. There is a reason why KGF earns a lot of money. It's not just because of hyper action, edited action sequences, all and all of it.
नहीं इसमें action दिखाई देता है.
No, that's not what I'm going to. That's not what I'm bringing up. I understand your criticism there. I'm just saying that, it's all hidden under the veneer of, say, oh my God, look at the guy's swag, look at how he's entering, look at the hero shot and all of it. But at the end of the day, it's all worshipping a sort of masculinity which people would like to aspire to. वो तो कब से that's exactly my point. वो तो कब से चल के आ रहा है, and since Bollywood hasn't been doing that for a very long time, and now since it is getting a resurgence, people are wanting more and more. And like Aryan was saying, ki now they are going to cash in on it. So now,
no, but I must interrupt and tell you, understand the whole point. I get it. I accept that it may not be the first pillar of it.
Yes.
But hyper masculinity for the sake of societal anger, where the angry young hero comes in and everything in the 80s, to hyper masculinity of a lover who is enraged because their partner or somebody they fantasized about got married to somebody else. I'm referencing to Tere Naam here. Hyper masculinity of that sort is something that you can still put in context.
Yeah.
The hyper masculinity in Animal
Exactly.
is absolutely bonkers. It is bonkers because it
It's
has
not.
no
It's not
context.
just.
All
Yeah.
all
It's
it
not
wants
just
to do
bonkers.
is
It's not just
yeah,
bonkers.
all it wants to do is just display and like blatantly display power and violence. That
He's enabling
this
it.
is why I asked that question.
He's enabling it, right? And that's the bigger problem. People are comparing because I completely agree with you here. People are comparing him to Scorsese, Coppola, Lars von Trier, and I'm like, lofty comparisons over there, good for you. But no, even if you are going to compare him with that, in a Scorsese movie with people who are anti-heroes, who are so much masculine people, those endings are quite bleak and
No,
quite comical.
sir, I will even say endings. Nahi, there's a particular perspective that's in the
Yes,
best of
yes.
Scorsese filmmaking he takes, where you are close enough to the
You are
character,
close enough to,
but
yeah.
you are not him. It's
You're
not
not him.
worshipping the
Yeah,
character.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not superstar
That's
Robert De Niro
And
entering the
because
frame.
you're not worshipping the
Yes,
character,
yes.
because he
Exactly.
makes you sit through the
You see the
consequences. Consequences
facade
of the
also.
action.
Like it's not as I find the Scorsese thing ridiculous in comparison.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah. But
also-
people are
But
comparing.
that's a
So
frame
पागल
of
है वो
reference
फिर।
वाली बात है वो.
Hey,
Also-
but yeah,
also-
they are the
also-
majority.
yeah, also here's another thing. Like, if you remember that Anupama Chopra ka interview, he was saying that, I will make such a violent movie
I'll
that
show
people will,
them.
I'll
Yeah.
show them what violence really is. He referenced Amir's Paruthi Viran. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, the thing about Paruthi Viran is a very, violent movie, but from the beginning to the end, that movie also had a very rooted thing to it, because it was talking about a love story between two completely mad people.
Mhm.
Okay. They are two people completely obsessed with each other. At least the woman was completely obsessed with the man.
Mhm.
Okay. So the thing about it is, I think Vanga completely missed the point here, because Paruthi Viren's female character had so much agency. She was a firecracker in that movie. She was played by Priyamani. She was a firecracker in that movie. More than Karthi, to be very honest.
Mhm.
Vanga only focused on Paruthi Viran ka ending, which, by the way, if you don't know what the ending is, I will urge you, if you are squeamish about the movie, I will urge you to at least check Google out to see the ending, because the
Okay.
ending is horrific, that ending.
Okay.
But that ending also has a point, kind of, to show the violence of what can happen in so much rooted, remote areas of culture and everything.
Mhm.
The whole point is, each and every one of these movies on the surface level could look like they're enabling their flawed characters and their worst impulses, but at the end of the day, they will pull back and they will show it to you.
Yeah. I mean, there's that. I think that is sort of what you call ये अमर्त्य को क्या हो गया?
Light
एक
चली
second.
गई.
Power
Oh,
के time.
okay.
तो भी
सर आप वहां पे आया तो नहीं ना वो?
His
Yeah,
system could not take it anymore.
Pararam.
कंप्लेन करे क्या पुलिस स्टेशन में? ऐसा
नहीं, वो सब कुछ नहीं है. Hold on.
किसने
ये-
बोला
you
मेरी
guys
पिक्चर के
stop.
बारे
ये
में?
चुप और एनिमल का कोई है रिश्ता.
No, but
Please,
I wanted to
चुप से
quickly,
better
कोई
है.
बटन कोई
I wanted
बटन
to
है.
quickly end this. Dhruv, I know you're going to kill me,
Yes.
but do we then have a problem with our censor board if we are going to go after films like Urta Punjab, which are talking about a sensitive problem of tremendous, importance, really? That,
Yeah.
and then
Social
they're like,
issue,
you know
yeah.
what? No, forget social issue. The fact that it's leading to the drug problem in Punjab
Yes.
is leading to about 15 other things.
Yes.
So then, while one is obviously all for artistic freedom,
Mhm.
should we be encouraging a film like Animal from within, because the government has decided to create an organization that will decide if a film can be screened theatrically or not?
I'm fundamentally against censorship, so I can't in good conscience. I understand what you're saying about the negatives of something like Animal, but I feel it'll be very hypocritical for me to say that, if stuff, I think he should be allowed to make it. There's a difference in which like we have to deal with the consequences of it.
So
I
should
suppose it's more like that.
should it then be processed by the board in a different way?
I don't.
If you're going
I
to
just
cut-
don't believe
The
in
fact
that. So.
that it is stemming from whatever the cultural political currents that this government has brought in along with its far right-wing forces, the fact that this is a secondary response to that in itself is enough to make us realize that we know that these kind of films would instead always be promoted by
Champion,
the
yeah.
by
I
the
mean, ये तो
force.
नहीं कर सकते वो लोग क्योंकि गालियां ज्यादा
And
देते हैं.
see,
But
now all these filmmakers are jumping on the bandwagon because they know that by virtue signaling to this particular ideology, while sticking to this, they are going to get bigger and bigger projects. They are going to get bigger and bigger budgets and bigger names, bigger awards, national awards now also. And two just last two things, quick things. Ahendrila, you talked about how concerning this is, right? And how concerning it would be if this monstrous pillar were to grow and impose upon
animals,
all of
yes.
us. Yeah, all of us in the coming years. But I'm presuming we watched the same print of the film. And in that version of the movie, which was thankfully at least 10 minutes shorter,
Was it?
I could hear
They took the
girls,
credits out.
women, whatever, chuckle through some of the most problematic scenes. I don't know why they were particularly women. Maybe that guy was sitting right, or girl was sitting right next to them.
There was I can attest, there was someone who was laughing their ass off. I chuckled at two things, and after that, I was like, "ये क्या चल रहा है?" मेरे साथ.
No, but when I hear,
You know what I chuckled at? I'm sorry to interrupt. You know what I chuckled at?
Superstar Ranbir Kapoor.
Yes, that's why I definitely
again,
chuckled at.
quick criticism. So again, this movie may have worked if it were. So the reason why shitty, I don't know what is a shitty, but less
बोल दिया आपने
accomplished
सर.
Why
films
not?
like less accomplished films like Jawan worked for me and worked for most of us is because it is very dedicated and convinced in worshipping the myth of Shah Rukh Khan, right?
Okay.
Yes.
So it is using its cinematic language and cinematic grammar to communicate that stardom. But
Last 3 minutes, उसके बाद ये
railway.
सब cancel होने वाला है.
We will get back to the railway tracks. Don't worry.
Yeah,
No,
we
but
were
in
talking
this-
about Scorsese, then we were talking about something, then we were talking about concerning, and then I'm lost.
No. What I was going to say. Hold on.
Hold
Hold on. एक second. What I was going to say, and this is hilarious. Okay, कि
Yeah.
there is a scene in with Tripti Dimri ka character when he's conversing, and then there is a twist in which he says to Tripti Dimri that, oh my God, I've forgotten her name only in that movie.
Zoya.
Yeah. Wow, how do you...
I remember, मैं तो 3
Jesus
घंटे पहले
effing
देखी.
Christ. Jesus effing Christ. Okay. So
Just watched it.
yeah, he says to her that I already knew your double crossing ka plan, but I did it because I was doing it because this is a foolproof plan. I looked at the scene. I literally loudly said it in the theater. Chal baap ko mat sikha. I literally said that because that is such a blatant lie.
Yeah.
That is such a blatant lie. Kyunki at that point, Ranbir Kapoor is not an alpha. Ranbir Kapoor is basically being a sakht londa. ठीक है, he wanted to show कि मेरा को, he wanted to show that he is an alpha.
I'm not
but
dumb, that no one could cross me.
Yes, no one could cross me.
इतना
That's the
Rolls
whole
Royce
point.
है,
aeronautical
Godfather को उबाद करने
Yes,
के लिए
exactly.
उड़ाई
I'm
थी.
an aeronautical engineer. At this point, whatever.
He's an
To that
aeronautical
extent-
engineer in this.
No, but
Yes.
I must
To that extent.
I must-
To
Oh,
that
इसलिए तो वो
हाँ, that's
चलाता है plane. हाँ, भूल
To
गया.
Also
that
flying
extent, that's what I'm saying. That
Planet
if
of
we are
the
going to
sky.
Sky. randomly cut हो जाता है वो
aeronautical engineer है, तू हवा में ही रहे.
हाँ, तो हवा में ही रहे.
हवा में ही है ना.
To that
अपने
extent,
लोग-
if we are going to talk about aeronautical,
No,
if we are going to
but
talk about
I
aeronautical
must- and this
engineers,
This is 18 plus conversation, but all the men around here, if the hickeys that you're giving to women are that bad, they are not hickeys, that is abuse.
that is abuse. Yes.
Yes.
And by
You
looking at the
are
color,
probably quite literally an animal.
and by looking at the color of that abuse, don't buy a goddamn Rolls Royce. What the fuck
Sir,
is
वो
wrong
भी
with
तो
you?
provocation
That
है,
one
घटिया वाला.
people don't have yet. That is trigger warning for another time. But the
Right,
point
please
is
don't
that
blow
is
it up.
abuse. So
That is
you can't
abuse.
look like
And
that.
if you, if you are planning to be an aeronautical engineer, please study for the UPSC exams, which should be enough of a transition to the next movie, because I had enough of this conversation.
चलिए अब पढ़ाई शुरू करेंगे, लेकिन उससे पहले आप में एक लड़का है कोई जिसका नाम है मनोज कुमार शर्मा. कौन है मनोज?
अब बड़ा पुलिस अफसर बनकर ही लौटी. तुझे
वर्दी में देख के तेरे दादाजी बहुत खुश हो गए।
हिंदी मीडियम
जी भैया। कंट्री के हर कोने से भेड़ बकरियों की तरह आ जाते हैं दिल्ली। मैं भी बनूंगा आईपीएस। पढ़ाई के अलावा सब तरह की गधा मजदूरी में लग जाते हैं।
टॉयलेट रोज साफ होना चाहिए।
नहीं बनने वाले तुम लोग आईपीएस ऑफिसर्स।
सही बात कर रहे हो तुम। चले आते हैं भेड़ बकरियों की तरह बसों और ट्रेनों में भर भर। कुछ नहीं होता इनके पास। गरीब होता है इनका बाप। नहीं पढ़ा पाते बाप अपने बच्चा को महंगा स्कूल कॉलेज में। लेकिन पता है फिर भी ये लोग खाली हाथ नहीं आते। जज्बा लेके आते हैं कि ये लोग भी ना एक दिन आईएएस आईपीएस बनेंगे।
Restart करो चलो.
Yes.
Oh, we are going to restart or we are going to the
Nice, another one. Yes. I
Border
wasn't
पे
intended
बात
Aryan
करो.
और ऐसे ही बोल दिया restart.
नहीं यार
Intended था, okay.
आर्यन भी
Physiotherapist
सख्त
है।
लौंडा है। आर्यन भी सख्त लौंडा है।
वो तो भूल कहाँ होती है, सब सेलिब्रेट होता है. Yeah.
बोलो सर अरुण जी आप we are not introducing Sam Bahadur हाँ but just to clarify.
No, we are introducing 12th fail.
12th fail हाँ बोलो सर आप क्या बोल रहे थे?
कौन मैं?
अरुण जी नहीं वरुण बोल रहा था
मैं वही पूछ रहा था.
No, I
had a different segue for the other film on 1st December.
I will give you that option. You do that.
हाँ चलो ठीक है 12th fail के बारे में restart आर्यन आपने बोला तो आप ही करो start.
You know, the thing is that
yes,
at Mami, sorry for bringing Mami up again.
Trauma.
But yeah,
Trigger warning for
at
some
Mami,
people here.
since the first 3-4 days of Mami, Sanjeet kept telling me every day, okay, like he reminded me twice every day that चलना जाते हैं ना 12th fail, चलना विधु विनोद चोपड़ा तेरे को तो बहुत पसंद है उसकी मूवी चलना जाता है तुमने अभी परिंदा देखी थिएटर में.
That is a fantastic impression of him. By the way.
इधर ये मामी का
picture him doing this.
yes.
Yeah, I was like, wait, थोड़ा film festival का vibe अभी नहीं आ रहा. Let's not go for ऐसे
क्या vibe था
जो movies लगी थिएटर में. And then he watched, of course, he watched 12 Fail.
Of course.
Yeah.
The last day only he watched.
No, I think on the 5th or 6th day, whatever. And then when I asked him, he was like, he told me that it's fantastic, and especially the way Chopra uses some of the music and the visual grammar to, reinforce some of the key thematics of his film. But then again, I was like, oh, of course, Sanjeet might be, exaggerating it because of his love for Chopra and because he watched it in a theater and all.
Says
and
the
then,
Bollywood lover.
हाँ आपको
but
सब अच्छा
still.
लगता है.
Yeah.
चुप भी
ये
अच्छी
next
लगती है.
movie
नेक्स्ट
movie कर दो movies है ये episode.
हाँ that's true
दोनों
actually.
एक
चलो
साथ.
बोलो sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, I did watch 12th Fail finally after coming back at its second week वो भी weekday में, and yet it was like I watched it in the almost half full auditorium on a random weekday, which clearly meant the jump that the movie saw because of word of mouth,
It
because
was
that still exists.
like an upward trend, right, in terms of
Yeah,
box
yeah,
office
it
collection
earned
that time.
55
Yeah.
crores, right? Which
Good
is
on it.
60 भी cross
Good
हो
on
गए
it.
now.
That is
Yeah.
that is the one good thing about we're going to talk about this
And-
episode. So
Yeah,
Yes.
again, the way he uses...
It also destroyed Tiger 3 ka box office, which is always a good
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. But the way it uses both score, like sound and visuals, to tell a very familiar story, it is a testament to how no matter how familiar your stories would be, they're always going to work if your filmmaking is that, commanding and in charge. And again, I would just say one thing about 12 Fail. No one, I repeat, no one would ever be able to use the imagery of a rear view mirror in their films to showcase the entire thematic purpose of their stories the way Vidhu Vinod Chopra does. I
Yes.
mean, I remember that fantastic shot from Parinda, which foreshadowed the fire and how it would end this particular character's life in one of the opening scenes, not the opening scenes, but earlier in the films. And this 12th Fail has a similar long scene that plays in the rear view like that, where Vikrant Masi's character is sitting in behind, and he's talking with this police inspector, DGP or someone who eventually becomes
who
an
is he?
inspiration.
Yes. I
He's
was
a
about to ask.
very good
Extremely
actor,
hot
actually.
guy, Ahendrila.
Oh, it's
Extremely
the
hot
same
guy.
guy. Yeah.
Sushant Singh.
Oh, right. He was the one who was in Shikhara, right?
Priyanshu Chatterjee, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
extremely hot guy.
हाँ उसको
Again,
टैग कर
just-
देना हाँ इसमें जब
yes,
promote
Watch
करते हैं.
that scene. I mean, that scene plays out on it like ticks off all the familiar boxes of filmmaking. He obviously, it's foreshadowing that he's literally on the back seat and he'll be taking the charge soon, following his footsteps. But it's also those simple things that the movie does so well, and it just builds and builds and leads to that fantastic interview
Climax.
scene, which is like some other level.
Some other level only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on. That's what I have to say about it. I love it, by the way.
Varun, you go, because I think you spoke less about, I mean, you didn't speak much about Animal because you were
कोई
smart,
जरूरत
safe.
भी नहीं है, movie
हाँ.
बकवास है, बोलो.
My dad was raving about it, but like my dad is a big fan of underdog stories, right? About like 12th Fail.
Yeah.
I went in very skeptical because I am not a Vidhu Vinod Chopra fan. I don't like Parinda much. I watched half an hour, I got fed up because Anil Kapoor annoyed me. He was like Ranveer Singh on
he's
like cocaine or something. It was terrible. Or and it was just like his energy was just, I was like, this is too much.
दिल ज़्यादा ही धड़क रहा था, I suppose. Sorry.
Khamosh was interesting, but I think
Would have used that Khamosh to stop Dhruv's dad puns. But
Khamosh was an interesting film. I liked 1942. Eklavya was boring as hell again. Shikara was a miss for me because again, you could have done so much with that story. This was the first film I was like, okay, he's actually sort of fully realized the potential of the story. And like Aryan was saying, right, you don't need to change the narrative structure of a film or radically reinvent the tools or the methods of filmmaking to tell a good story. If you tell it competently and it is performed well and it is essentially all of the elements of filmmaking come together well enough,
compounding effect.
And it's got it, the what interested me about it was it's got none of the flashiness of his other work, right? Otherwise his films, I think the staidness sort of enters his work around Shikara, where the camera stops moving so much, it's more at ease, being a restful sort of gaze.
I think there are instances here where it is not flashy,
but here it is quite flashy, right? The camera work
here it's inventive in a space
dynamic,
that's not visually very interesting to look at. You don't
it's dynamic.
You don't care about an atta chakki essentially. You do
like
care
making
about
that space. Yes, understood.
How does you do care about
giving coverage to that space was pretty good.
How well Hazrat Bal Mosque in Srinagar is framed gives your film a sort of visual dimension which is not brought by the chutney. Here he's using that space much better. And of course it's got a terrific central performance, and it's I don't know whether I said this to Dhruv because Dhruv is such a big Hirani fan. It's like a Hirani film but done about 1,000 times better.
I understand. I understand the complaints people have raised about Hirani's filmmaking. I need to rewatch all of his movies, to be honest, to have a proper opinion. But I understand what you mean. But I did definitely get flashes of Three Idiots here and there. Flashes of.
That's written by him, right? Three Idiots.
No, not by Vinod.
No, Chetan Bhagat.
Abe, I mean screenplay.
Screenplay is Abhijat Joshi and Hirani only. He was like an associate on the screenplay, but he didn't write anyway.
But I mean,
Chetan Bhagat का नाम podcast में क्यों लाते हो भाई?
उसके novel से inspired है ना?
Based on novel.
Inspired नहीं, it's officially
proper adaptation.
हाँ तो वो एक ही अच्छी adaptation है.
Two States
Three Mistakes of My Life का best adaptation है भाई.
Actually, Kaipochi is also good. Sorry, Half Girlfriend is the thing that sticks in my mind. Sorry.
Hello. Okay. Hello is
no.
Anyway, Ahendrila, go before you sleep. It seems like. Or a disinterested.
No, it's not. I'm not sleepy. I'm a little bit, but no. The point is
you are very sleepy.
The point is I don't remember enjoying a Hindi film in the theater. A Hindi film that is not meant to move me to like clap and cheer and enjoy action and everything. Just a good, nice, feel good underdog story or a drama. I've not enjoyed a movie like that in the theater in a long time, which is why 12th Fail was a very nice watch. So I haven't analyzed the film so much because I just really enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed
We are saved, everybody.
safe.
We are saved, everybody.
नहीं आपने
नहीं, but I
analyze किया
think
ना
उसमें
बहुत है.
हाँ नहीं, but I feel no, I think when the one thing I noted, at least I watched the film with Ahendrila. This is the first time we met in person, so I could notice her being very emotionally affected by the film, at least, which is a good thing. And I was also I have a heart made of stone, so I believe that's a big thing. So which is not true actually, considering I'm moved by like Kejo stuff.
You
So
like Kejo movies? Shut up.
yeah, that's true.
Heart
Anyways,
made of stone and is their favorite thing in the world.
Oh God.
Oh God, we are
मैं
not
भी
going
offended
to.
हो जाऊंगा अभी तो.
anyways, actually, strangely enough, the main note of the one thing that kept on nagging at me, and I was like wanting to check it at that moment was, did he take something from Pather Panchali and rework it into this film? Because I was like, I have heard this tune
The
somewhere.
music.
Yeah,
The
I've
music,
heard
right.
this tune
Yeah.
somewhere, and I'm like, it's so like he knows it's a very powerful piece of music, and I
You
think
know
he uses it in the best possible
You
ways
know the
again
movie
and
which
again
I
and
was
again.
also remembering, not just Pather Panchali. The movie which I was also remembering was Piku.
I
The
can get
score.
what you mean. Score, okay. But I
The
think,
score.
yeah, I understand. But I think one of the best things, and I was thinking about this especially after watching these two films today, was as much as this film is sort of a little bit in awe of its protagonist, and again, Vikrant Massey, I think also benefits from the fact that he's not an actor who has a stature or a personality that overpowers a film. Like he
Yeah.
always feels like he's in the film rather than
Mhm.
beyond or sort of above it. So I think that sort of helps this
Also,
film in any
Manoj Kumar
case.
Sharma is not particularly well known.
Yes,
Yes,
that
yes,
that
that is
too
also true.
definitely. That too definitely. But I feel no. I meant it even in context of Animal, which is so in love with its character. I
That's
think
Vanga's biopic, so it works.
Yes, yes.
whatever it is, but
Vanga's
like
third attempt at a biopic. Yes.
जो
Of
भी
his,
है,
of
but
himself.
Which
Of
is his
himself.
third film. Yeah.
बाप रे बाप. Oh, anyways, 12th film में one of the few things which actually I remember mentioned at least to Sanjeet and Ahendrila at that point was that I like how little effort there is to put that annoying forced humor, which I think a lot of these films feel the need to, कि यहाँ पे डाल देते हैं थोड़ा एक, let's have a quirky side character who like does his shtick or whatever he does.
Even Three Idiots.
Yeah, I mean,
That
Yeah.
minimus,
Chatur?
no, Chatur, yeah,
Chatur.
but also
Yeah.
like that kid who helps around in the hostel, who is supposed
yes,
to
yes,
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So there's
Millimeter.
Yes,
millimeter,
millimeter.
yes.
Millimeter.
So
Jesus
there's
Christ.
none
तो
of
बाद में सेंटीमीटर. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So I meant that a lot of the supporting characters are also really well
Really good, yeah.
established and stretched out. I mean, I didn't think the female character would have that much role even. So I was pleasantly surprised by how much of an integral role she has actually in his life. So like
wish
it never
she
struck.
had been better cast though.
Really, I liked her quite a bit.
I liked her though. She was good
Yeah.
only.
She was okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
felt like she could have.
But then that one scene felt very off. The
Onsa.
confrontation with her family.
Really,
Mom and
I
dad.
liked that.
क्या off था? मुझे तो
No, no,
natural
no.
लगा.
Like, I
No,
liked
no, no.
that scene because that's how sometimes confrontations inside a house.
But then it's immediate
yes.
conflict, immediate
Yes,
resolution.
that's
Just
yeah, वैसा ही होता
narrative
है.
wise, it doesn't
But
make
that's
घर
the
में वैसा ही
relationship she
होता है.
had with
Normal
her,
घर में.
that's the
Normal घर में
relationship she
वैसा
had.
ही होता है.
No, but that's the relationship
Oh,
she
you
had
must
with her
not know
father,
that.
no? I
I
felt.
don't know. I don't know exactly. I don't.
Oh God.
I think what trust wala was an interesting bit that they bring in. That
No, but
Yeah.
I felt so much of the film also struck, at least to me, as less. Again, this is maybe a cynical take on it, but like to me, it was also
Cynical
fair.
in you.
Oh, yeah, you don't say, okay. Uh,
no,
anyways,
Amartya has gone beyond cynicism already.
हाँ.
Yes.
Anyways,
Beyond
no,
भी होता है कुछ.
No, but I felt this one really also showed the effort it takes for others to sacrifice for
Yeah.
one person to succeed. Like it really felt like, a lot of their sacrifices were highlighted in a way which never felt like they weren't sacrifices.
Yes.
It's like that adage,
Yeah,
right? It
actually,
takes a
that's
village
one
to
of
raise a
the.
child.
Yeah.
So what were you saying?
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, please.
No, like Varun can continue.
No, I'm done. That was all.
दोनों
I-
साथ में बोल दो.
No, No. So what I was going to say is exactly that. It actually takes a village to raise a child, and it like
Yes.
proves it, which is what just Varun mentioned. But
Yeah.
apart from that, this is something that I genuinely like about the movie, that it doesn't, just because this person is the protagonist, you are not necessarily like driving the idea home that he is exceptional.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
has had to, like, you have this is a real life character whose story you have then translated to the screen, but you are not
Yeah.
doing things like, oh, he's a math genius, so whenever he looks at a
Mhm.
page, he like floats
Yeah.
through every sum.
The main
So that
difference
is
between
not
him and
shown.
Hirani. The main difference between him and Hirani here.
So he's not showing something like that, which I think makes him very relatable, like an
Yeah.
everyday character.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that I think is one of the most pleasant things about the movie, that this
Yeah.
is not a character like once you finish watching the film and you
Hmm.
walk out of the theater, and it is actually an underdog story, because it makes you believe that this person is an underdog, and like
Mhm.
several other people contribute to his success apart from his own luck and his
Hmm.
preparation and everything.
Yeah.
So
And
all
even his
of that,
preparations are flawed, right? Even he gets the point that his preparation too, after a point, becomes flawed, and he will have to move past his single-minded doggedness and try to pivot. And they try to show that also.
The Atta
And
Chakki, where he's
yes,
like, I
yes,
will
yes.
work here and
Yes, yes,
continue to
yes.
study, and they are like, this
It's
won't
like
work.
they
Right,
don't
you
want
know.
him to be.
Cracks in his own idealism, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Acknowledging the cracks in his own idealism.
No, but he
then,
keeps a lot of his idealism intact. In terms of at least this whole such bolne wala thing is very.
No, but it's not like the
Yeah.
idealism devolves into complete cynicism, right? It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
idealism maturing into, a realistic
Yeah.
take overall
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
world
Yeah.
itself.
but
And also him
yeah,
acknowledging that he needs help from everybody else.
exactly.
Matlab, he can
Yeah.
succeed on his own, but it's okay to accept.
I think
Mhm.
idealism turns into realism, but without ever losing the
Losing it.
morals and principles that
Yes.
his
Hmm.
father once taught him,
Yes.
and ones that he has always been
The
inculcated.
officer also, no, both of them.
Yeah, officer.
That was the
Yeah.
sort of guiding.
But yeah, I
principle.
think I just kept this one thing kept bugging me throughout the runtime of the film.
Hmm.
अगर वो ठीक होता तो it would have been my favorite Hindi film of the year. But the
तो अभी क्या है?
narrator, the narration,
अभी क्या है?
the
अभी क्या है?
narration.
Favorite film of the
Good
year.
question.
वो है ही क्या और?
Stolen.
मेरा है
Stolen.
you guys know you guys know मेरा कौन सा है.
Rocky
Oh
Horror.
yes,
What?
सिर्फ आप ही का है वो.
सिर्फ मेरा ही है वो. सिर्फ
सिर्फ
मेरा
आप
ही
है.
है वो.
और विशाल भारद्वाज
What
का.
movie?
Khufia.
Jesus. Oh God.
Khufia. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Every year
was-
we get off on a different note about one film.
Yes,
This
every
year
year.
it is this.
Every year. Yes.
But Khufia में तो I think
last
Amartya
year
is the
was
only
decision
one
to
who's,
goddamn leave.
हाँ, properly.
But
Amartya is the only one properly in love with that film.
Khufia, तो I think only Amartya I've heard is like
Yeah,
absolutely head over heels over it. Like I think all of us have
Because
like a.
it's a great movie. Shut
It's
up.
a very good movie.
What?
I like it, but I don't know if it's a great movie. Anyways,
Yeah.
that doesn't
Again,
matter.
shut up.
12th Fail
Again,
is
shut
my
up.
favorite Hindi film of the year by far and away. Like I don't think there's anything that
Yeah,
comes close. I have a lot to watch though. So
Which
still have
12th
to watch.
fail?
Yeah, I have lots
But
still to watch though.
what did you guys? We've not talked about this anywhere, but what did you guys think about the narration?
Oh,
I
it is
really liked
lazy.
it. No, but
thought
I
it was
liked
very
it.
lazy.
I thought that bringing in this smarmy character who's rich and sort of, privileged in the way you would be in a tier 2, tier 3 city
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
was, I think, very interesting.
I think that is interesting, but the way it comments on what he's
Exactly.
doing is not.
Yeah.
The
And
way he
even
speaks
the
is not.
casting in itself is
Casting, though I didn't
I
mind
liked the
as
guy.
such.
What's
No,
his
no,
name?
very
I've
honored.
forgotten his name.
It is. Wait, I have written it down and I can't find my paper.
But like I understand
Joshi Anant
narratively.
Vijay.
See, narratively and all, it makes
Anant
complete
Vijay
sense
Joshi.
because even the book is written by his friend,
Yes.
the same
हाँ.
character, right?
हाँ.
But I felt very off about the casting.
वो मुझे लगा कि थोड़ा hand holding के लिए है, but I'm like
I
ठीक है
think-
कर लो.
I
think
genuinely.
Sorry, Amartya. go
No,
ahead.
no, you continue. I'll finish.
For me, the casting works principally because they take an aspirational or an actor from 20 years ago whom you would look up to at one point on a film screen in Tumbin
Yeah,
and
yeah.
put him in that hero type role,
Okay,
right?
right.
And
ये
then
तो
these are
वो DCP है ना?
DSP.
DSP,
Array,
sorry,
extremely
yes.
hot guy.
And the others, essentially, the film is when Vikrant Massey is the biggest star in the film.
Mm.
the film automatically then adjusts accordingly, and
Yes.
Regears
it becomes
itself.
also
Yeah, I'm
within
very
itself
happy
it
though
becomes
that
very
this is
fascinating.
his shining
It's like
moment though. Yeah.
it's like I'll tell you, I hate
But
to
it's
draw
only
another.
at the hand of Vidhu Vinod Chopra. Nobody else is using it.
By Death and
करेंगे
Guns.
करेंगे. Death in the Gun is the no,
But
this is commercial shining star.
Yeah.
No, but that's the thing about Masi's acting also, na. It never feels like he's off note.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever role he has been handed, he just delivers.
Nails it.
Even
He
if
just
it is
nails
one
it.
of that, yeah, even if it is that
Oh,
Haseen
great.
Dilruba.
We are going to
No.
play.
Oh
we
yeah,
are going
Haseen
to
Dilruba. I don't mind that movie.
proves that. Oh,
I
fuck
don't
off.
like that film. I like him.
That
in it.
movie's dog shit. I'm sorry. Anyway,
Yeah.
That
It's a
movie will
terrible
have
idea
Roald Dahl
doing kitschy.
twisting and turning in his bloody grave. But
yes.
the point is, like he, even if
Who
that
Roald
is
Dahl?
his role,
Of all people, she's referencing him.
Roald Dahl कहाँ से आ गया हसीन दिलरुबा में?
yeah, because lamb to the slaughter, na, ये leg of the lamb से
I would have
माथे
thought
पे मारने का idea
I
तो
would have
he's
thought you'd
him
bring
only.
in James Hadley Chase or Surendra Mohan Pathak. Up,
That is too lowbrow for her.
sir, Surendra Mohan Pathak has the biggest fan club in this country of any writer. Okay.
जो पढ़ते नहीं है
No,
उनका
but the point
उनकी
is,
शक्ल
it is
देखने
a
लायक है.
it is a direct Roald Dahl reference, na, the whole using a
Yes,
leg
yes,
of
it
the
is.
lamb
It is.
to
It
kill
is. It is.
someone.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So which is why
हम
like
लोग
he'll be
हसीन
turning.
दिलरुबा से साइड हो प्लीज.
Yeah, sorry. But the point is, ki Vikrant Masse nails everything, every role that he takes up, which is why I'm also very glad that 12 Fail gave him an opportunity to have a movie in the theater, which people all across the country are watching and appreciating and seeing what he can bring to the screen. And I feel genuinely great about it because we don't see a lot of these faces, these tier
He
2
has very
hero faces.
familiar Govinda-like mannerism, but also very unconventional melancholic undercurrent in his eyes.
I तो always
That's what
think
I
he
feel.
should too, so I always feel it's a little sad.
Yes, वो melancholic undercurrent शुरू से ही continue हो रहा है
मुझे तो
basically.
हमेशा वहीं
Yeah.
से लगता है, so I'm like he's a
But
little like
that scene when
want to
he
protect him.
gets his final results in the movie's end,
Oh.
and
Oh,
the
God.
way
Oh, yeah.
his legs shake,
Oh.
that I think that scene should be taught in like
No,
acting
even
school and
even
all.
the even the scene where he goes to the village and he's having that
Yes.
conversation with his mother,
Mother, yeah.
and the
Yeah.
way he just looks, he turns behind
Of
and
how
he
things have
immediately says,
changed.
"कितना झूठ बोलेगी
कितने
और."
बोल रहे हैं.
And even
I
the
lost
direction,
it.
the camera just like very subtly, gradually.
And it's and here's the thing also, right? Like I think Vikrant Masse's acting is like in conjunction with Chopra's direction, because this movie is so well directed. It's insane how well directed this movie is. And I'm bringing this up because this template, like, we have seen so much
This
of
is
this
your
shit at
TVF
this
thing
point.
also, no? You were saying.
Yeah. Because TVF
Ah.
has made a cottage industry out of this nonsense. It's like,
Practically, yeah.
yeah. And we have Aspirant season 2 already streaming on Amazon Prime Video. It's the same thing, but through TVF ka flawed lens. It's that same thing. So
Through TVF ka the rose tinted glasses more than anything.
yeah,
else,
TVF ka very rose tinted glasses. It's
This
like
film
it's
felt
like the
you've
evolution.
taken the glasses off.
Except Kota Factory, yeah. Kota Factory is
No,
good.
Kota Factory season 2 is also same thing only.
I checked out of TVF
Pretty
ages
good,
ago,
though.
so it's
Yeah.
just at
But
this point an examination.
12th fail.
No,
No, but we're
I'm
coming to
bringing
that.
I'm bringing the conversation here
आओ,
only
जल्दी
कि वो
आओ.
3 idiots का evolution है basically.
Yeah,
TVF का format is basically 3 idiots का evolution का है. They are basically taking that baton.
This is the culmination.
Vidhu Vinod Chopra just tells us that ignore that baton. This is the reality.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to show you the reality through state film or anything like that. I'm going to show you the reality as well as I possibly could, because I have a
but वो
personal
crowd
investment in this.
Yeah. I mean, crowd pleasing, of course, that's how the story turned out. I remember
Yes.
told.
And you know what? Another thing that he knows that he recognizes that the insane familiarity of the underdog story, at least in its first half, is what tends to get the audience bored, or whatever critics, going around saying that, oh, it's been there and that, very usual criticism. That's why his camera is so fucking dynamic throughout that first.
Yes. Because it immediately
Especially-
puts you in the back foot, right?
Exactly,
Because
yeah.
you are immediately in unfamiliar territory.
Yeah.
No,
It's
and he
fantastic.
switches it up, right? At
Yes,
some
yes.
Yeah,
point,
he
he's
switches it up.
clearing the prelims, but not doing the mains well.
I think
And
there's the
another
whole
point,
terrorism tourism thing, which I
to
thought
te-
was
Oh,
quite
fantastic. Oh,
terrific.
It was
that
so
was
well. It
great.
was so well done, and
yeah.
Yeah.
the camera
Oh, God.
camera loses focus, right? The camera
Uh-huh.
loses focus, and it starts shifting when the interval
That
when the
was-
interval blocks.
Another thing that is probably going to be, I mean, I guess it's fairly common, but I only noticed it during the film, is that something that happens very often, at least as far as I can't bring out examples right now, sorry, but something that I know happens is when you are showing somebody's story in third person perspective, there are times when, to capture the person's emotional range of emotions, basically, you tend to push that camera into the person's face to make it like it is
Going
a
inside
first
her head.
person idea of
Yes.
Yeah.
how much this person is emoting. That is something that doesn't happen even with this whole Priyanshu scene, where now he goes to salute at the end and everything. It is still capturing from a distance, and I appreciate the distance that Vidhu Vinod Chopra maintains with his camera throughout this film, because that seems like it's a very good move, because you are never being pushed too far into the protagonist's lives, or you are never at so far away ki you are looking at some people at the end of the gully. It is people who are at a certain distance, and you can get a clear understanding of their body language throughout, which is why the scene that Aryan mentions is also so important.
Yeah.
It's only captured from a certain distance. You don't see his eyes bulging and tears
Yes,
falling,
yes.
and none
Or
of
the
that
camera
happens.
suddenly losing focus, or
Yeah,
continuously
it's
rotating or something like that. It
And in
doesn't
fact,
happen.
it cuts to that frenzy of that person coming and
Yes.
saying "Yere Dolak," and
it's a bit of
Yeah.
I don't know. I always say it's like Vikramaditya Motwani does this fairly well. I feel it's a restrained melodrama or whatever you want to call it. Like it's
which is not something
slightly.
Vidhu Vinod Chopra is known for at
Yes.
all.
No,
And
but
also,
what
you know
Ahendrila said
why
actually-
you
sorry,
know
go
why
ahead.
the restraint comes. The restraint comes. I noticed this is that in any other film or in any other hands of any other inferior filmmaker or however it is, they would have lingered on the poverty aspect.
Yes.
Of it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, how much
Poverty porn, basically.
poverty porn, basically,
Yeah.
how much work he's doing, like cleaning the bathrooms and all of that
Yeah.
stuff. He
It's a
doesn't.
quick shot.
He just shows quick shot cuts away. And
But that's
that shows-
that's also because it's such a matter of fact thing for him, right? It's
yes,
like one of the
exactly,
things he needs to do.
exactly. Yeah. And that comes because he's maintaining that distance that Ahendrila is talking about. He's
I-
not
I-
lingering on it.
I want to add one thing. It's also a great acknowledgement of the dignity of labor, which we
Yes,
don't
exactly.
doff our hats to in our society. It's
Yes.
that yes, this is a job. Just because somebody does it doesn't make them, an
Of course,
inferior person.
yeah.
And
Yes.
I think also that sort of comes in with the film's emphasis on hard work. I
Yeah.
kind of feel my father really liked the film because he told us all our lives work hard,
Yeah.
and at some point you will be rewarded.
Mhm.
And the film is about that. It's about I think the tagline the film was released with was "Lada wahi jo hara wahi jo lada nahi."
Yes.
And
And
I think
it
that's a
also
great
works in
bit.
that line. It also works in that line, right? कि छोड़ भी तो नहीं सकते ना पापा. That
Correct.
line, when
Oh,
his
that-
father is on
when
the
they're sitting in the
yes,
Yes.
And it shows you
Atta
both
chakki.
sides with Gauri Bhaiya. It's that he worked damn hard,
Yeah.
but he didn't make it. But now
Yeah.
he's working as hard
To make it,
his
to make
boys-
sure someone makes it.
someone
yeah.
makes it. Like
Mhm.
one person wins.
Which was, I think, a
crore
great
wins.
thing to show, instead
Yeah.
of showing somebody just
Everybody's
becoming a
successful,
raging
yeah.
alcoholic
Yes.
after that, who just goes around with his cynicism.
Yeah.
I
ये
think it's
ये
a great
संदीप
Singh.
वांगा रेड्डी का
Kabir Singh,
version.
Kabir Singh.
But वो तो successful होके करता है ना वो
Boom
सब.
boom, vara
तो
boom,
चलता
vara
है।
boom. Put the music on Kabir Singh का हाँ इस section पे.
नहीं पागल है क्या मैं नहीं डाल रहा हूँ
Copyright
और-
strike from Sandeep Vanga will be
फिर यहाँ पे
embarrassing
ले
for
आए
them.
अपन उसको छोड़ो उसको
But
फिर नहीं छोड़ रहा मैं।
नहीं, I agree with Dhruv actually. I think so far it is probably the best Hindi film of the year.
आया भी नहीं
Again-
है ज्यादा कुछ and neither have I seen much so
No,
have
I
to
mean
watch.
I've not yet
आया
watched
बहुत है,
Joram, I've
अच्छा
not yet
ज्यादा नहीं
watched,
है।
हाँ,
Stolen.
तो क्या वही बोल रहा हूँ ना क्या देखा है जो
क्या
अच्छा
बचा है?
like,
Stolen और
Stolen
Joram
is
बचा
quite
है।
good.
आप लोगों को तो
Joram
फिर भी-
Joram just came out.
आप लोगों को तो फिर भी जवान और पठान थोड़ी अच्छी लगती है, यहाँ तो वो तो पूरा खाता ही फटा हुआ है उसका, वो तो
Jawan, the
बिल्कुल ही
more
नहीं
I
अच्छी
think
लगती।
about it, the less I like it, to be honest.
Yeah,
छोड़ो।
Jawan is like I will never watch it again.
Pathan is fun.
Wow.
It's stupid.
Pathan is okay, chalta hai.
हाँ, Pathan is
We are moving. Ahendrila, will you stay for Sam Bahadur, or are you preferring to sleep? Because I
Yeah,
think that might
I'll
be
stay for
better.
a little while and then I'll drop off. But I have
Very
an important
quickly.
question to pose.
हाँ,
Yeah.
I have an
Oh
important
boy, I'm
question to
scared.
pose, which is
I'm
no,
scared.
no, it's not. It's something that I was talking about before the podcast began. Ki,
Okay.
yeah, ki because I won't be there till the end of this, so I want to ask my question right now. Is because you have watched all three movies. Most people here have watched all three movies, at least two of them, and especially 12th Fail. And then you're watching something this parade of hyper masculinity on the big screen. How do you think these box office releases then, like, do you have a
What does it
particular
say about?
opinion
Yeah.
about nothing to particularly say
Yeah.
about how people construct masculinity, because everybody is constructing these things from different angles, so it's difficult to put them in one line. But just in general, do you think that there's a lot of conversation around masculinity, and somehow all these films, no matter how hard they try or don't try, they don't bring out their female characters well? Or maybe that they keep harping on the same hollow morals of masculinity, which are now extinct, and they need to be revised as per the new age that we are currently living in? Or is any of the movies is any of the movies something that you think should be like a flag bearer of any of the extremes? Or is it are all the three movies like so extreme that you need something to be the middle ground?
No, I think 12th Fail is the middle ground, right? More or less. I think 12th Fail kind of is the middle ground. Sam Bahadur is the great man narrative again in the most boring way possible. That's what it is. And Animal is...
Yeah,
what it
Animal's
is.
the other
It's a
extreme, right?
criminal.
Animal is what
I
it is.
think Pathan is the middle ground because it is simultaneously at once also worshipping the male superstardom,
Jawan, you
whatever.
mean?
No, Pathan, because it is worshipping Shah Rukh's view,
All of
his
Shah Rukh's previous
stardom,
work
his
as well as his
stardom,
stardom.
His
yes.
identity
while
also.
yeah, his identity at the same time also making sure that he doesn't feel like Shah Rukh's character and Shah Rukh himself doesn't feel condescended when he is
I think he's
sharing the
not
screen with
hyper.
a similar,
Yeah,
like
got it.
Deepika Padukone's character, right? Like he doesn't feel that his agency is being challenged when the screen is being shared by a powerful women character, whatever.
But that,
He's an
but that again,
accommodative
but that
presence,
I
but
again,
think
he's
that's
always
the
had
middle
that, I
ground.
think.
but that again is
That's
a
what I'm
Shah
saying.
Rukh
That's the
Khan
middle
feature.
ground.
That again is a Shah Rukh Khan feature, right? It can't
Yeah.
be the feature. It can't be the feature. It isn't the feature of every movie.
You guys watch Tiger 3. How was the Katrina Kaif
मैं वही
Salman?
बोल रहा था कि see ये शाहरुख और SRK, they were always functioning on those
शाहरुख
two
और
extremes.
SRK.
Salman or SRK.
Salman or SR. Oh, it's
Bhai
starting
bolo,
to
it's
show
okay.
now.
भाई
Boy,
बोलो,
boy,
sorry,
BHOI, boy.
Boy or SRK, they were always functioning. Their films were always functioning in these echo chambers, which were catering to these extremes.
So
Because
Amir is the middle ground.
That is a very bad middle ground. I'm
Saif Ali
sorry.
Khan, who runs around after zombies.
Yes.
Yeah.
and apparently
कल हो
sometimes
9 में भी
also
compromise
appears
आदमी
with
था.
10 heads.
And
Wow.
massaging, getting massages
Massage
from
by
From
snakes.
snakes?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Why do I know this?
But honestly, if I have to answer Ahendrila's question, I think it's like, I think discussion on masculinity is now a big topic at this point. That is why all these movies are getting released. With
Yeah, I didn't feel like Wealth Fail had much to sort of, in that. I mean,
no,
it
I'm
was
not
about,
talking.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm not talking about 12th Fail specifically per se. I'm talking about the fact that masculinity as a whole. I think that discussion is going around. That discussion is being happening for a very long time, and that is why movies are being released in such a fashion.
Yeah.
So I'm not of the opinion that movies should be banned or movies should not be watched or anything like that. I think discourses should be changed for some reason. And I think if there is one middle ground on how to change masculinity to some aspect, even though it might skewer towards the separate sort of reality, but it can work if done well, is, and Dhruv, you are going to be very happy.
I know
Rocky
you
or
were going
Rani
to
Ki
say
Prem
this.
Kahani.
I was about to say
Rocky or
this.
Rani Ki Prem Kahani. That is the one movie which shows ki Ranveer Singh's character ka एक different sort of masculinity in a way, you know, like there is a complete
Room for
character arc.
acknowledgement.
And his also, right? Tota Rai Chaudhary.
Tota Rai Chaudhary, yes, a separate form of masculinity which does exist, which which needs to be
But I
acknowledged.
feel in all this actually Ranveer Singh is the big draw actually.
But I think
of
there's
all,
also the fact that I feel that people who are consuming cinema need to and
Chill.
taking inspiration from it. No, not chill.
Oh.
I think the opposite of that.
No, they
I
should
think
chill.
people need to find
Chill out.
their own identities.
Yeah.
Thinking that I'm going to be a Ranvijay Singh from an animal or be the kind of guy Rocky Randhawa is from Rocky or Rani Ki Prem Kahani is very reductive of the individual.
Of course.
You're not making any attempt to seek out.
But I
Find your
think
own
that's
self.
always going to happen. Like whenever we're
but-
introduced to cinema,
No,
at
that's
first,
fine. I get it. I get
Yeah.
that people want that, but I also wish that we are advanced enough in terms of our access to information today to not be relying on what is essentially foreign to our existence within ourselves to decide who we are going to be.
Yeah.
I
No,
think
I
that-
agree, but Varun, I think it's just a part of.
yeah, but if I had
I'll-
to pick a character, I'd say like Rocky Randhawa is a very interesting representation of men and masculinity today because he's also a guy who's comfortable in that masculinity.
Exactly.
I don't know
Who
how-
doesn't feel that his
He's not
agency is
he's
being
not
challenged
comfortable
over-
per se, he becomes comfortable. That's the more
Yeah.
interesting
That's
thing.
why the character arc is convincing.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
to a
But-
certain extent.
But
So,
I also
which
don't.
is-
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, Varun, finish.
I
I'll go
also
after.
don't think there's something wrong in trying to take from the masculinity of a character like the one Vicky Kaushal plays in Sam Bahadur, where he's chivalrous towards women. You know, we've gone in this hyper masculine thing of Kabir Singh and Arjun Reddy and those movies. We've gone the way of, oh, so equal society means I can disrespect you, which is just bizarre. Like,
No,
why
I
can't
don't.
you
I
treat
honestly
people
don't
with-
even think films like Kabir Singh and Arjun, whatever this thing was, Animal. I don't think they are saying anything about equality as such. I think they
No, they're
are
not, but-
looking at very much from a perspective where isn't that the whole opening dialogue? कि पहले ये होता था कि females used to look for a protector, male protector.
Oh
and
God,
how,
are
who's
we
gonna
going to
save them
Alpha
and
again?
I'm just saying that was the opening, whatever scroll of the film, not scroll, but whatever garbage he says. So no. So
Thank you.
my point is that that I feel वो is the other extreme, right? वो तो एक picture वो SR क्या नाम है इसका?
SRV.
वो एक पिक्चर वो बनाएगा 3-4 और उसके जो चमचे हैं वो बना देंगे, ठीक है? बाकी आ गए आप मिडिल ग्राउंड में बच गया आपका, you'll get a selection, no, there to at least.
But
Like,
again,
get your-
Dhruv, you see what the problem is. The problem is the field is open, but there aren't people who are making movies of the middle ground. It takes a Kejo to make a movie like that. And
वो भी
that's my
compromise से बनाई है उसने,
वो भी
like
compromise
उसकी
से
नहीं है।
बनाई है.
हाँ।
That's my whole point. We
हाँ।
need more original voices, and we need those voices to succeed in the theater, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, all these streaming services are going to follow the path set by box office successes,
Of
which
course,
is why after an Animal you will see a slew of these web series.
जानवर
MX exactly, MX Player, yeah, Janwar or whatever the flying F.
और क्या होता है, भेड़िया तो आ चुकी है, और क्या
भेड़िया तो आ चुका है.
दरिंदा
Yes, Darinda.
Pagal and
What was the name of that animal in Leo? उस पे भी एक मूवी है.
Hyena.
अरे नहीं यार, The name Lakad Bagga, whatever. Yeah, that is
अरे
it.
नहीं नहीं उसका नाम था सुब्रमणी in the movie in the Tamil
In the
version it's
Tamil
called
version.
yes it's called Subramani.
Hindi
No,
में
my
कुछ
point.
weird
No,
था.
my point
So-
you understand, right?
So
It-
random.
yeah,
Sorry.
that is what will happen. But we need a space enough to space for these filmmakers to create movies like this and show on the big screen.
Yeah.
And for people to
No, so-
understand. Okay.
So that basically brings me to the follow-up question, which is, so when we so now that an animal has released, now that films that specifically talk about men and men release, and women are always asked, "Ki, how do you feel about the female representation in a movie?" Right? So the question here is, ki, how do you feel about the male representation in these movies? Do you feel personally apologetic to women when you meet them next time, to that you think you need to personally go an extra mile to prove to them that it's okay,
मैं
I
ऐसा
may
नहीं
not be
हूँ.
that person?
No, but also it's like again, it all depends on how much you are going to take away from this movie and whether you have the gumption or the nuance to realize that okay, this is just a movie. You know, if you can do that to a certain degree, you should be comfortable in your own skin to realize that. to a
नहीं, but
certain extent.
what
I am
Ahendrila
not going
bringing-
to. I'm not going to walk the extra mile at this point. I'm not going to walk the extra mile at this point and tell Ahendrila ki, look, I am not like Ranvijay. Don't worry about it. Even though she doesn't believe me.
It's difficult to believe.
No,
but
no.
that's
Yeah, it is
conversation
very
for another
exactly.
time.
See, exactly.
I'm going to comment from what the opposite of what Amrit is saying is that
Yeah.
in the last few years, predating even Arjun Reddy, I have
Yes.
at least felt the need to reassure the women I know
Uh-huh.
that I am not a person of a certain variety of my subspecies. And
Yes.
that is purely a consequence of how
Yeah.
men have started to behave in public spaces,
Fair
be
enough.
it online or offline. And there
Yeah.
is a responsibility, a common responsibility, to be either a reassuring voice or a presence other people are fine with. And
Other people are
if-
comfortable with.
if it
to a
is
certain extent.
required, you make that effort. Because there's, I mean, if there's 15 people, I know educated people who went to like good universities who are taking Ranvijay Singh as some example. I'm like, you
That is
people,
very true.
a university education is wasted on you.
इंटरनेशनल
First
भी
of
बोल
all.
सकता हूँ सर, मैं उसका तो गारंटी दे
Hmm.
सकता हूँ.
No, so then the onus is entirely on us as a group within those of us who don't agree with that kind of masculinity to go and make other people feel safe in our company.
No, that's totally fair. I mean, I also think people putting in one like the extra effort won't hurt anyone. Like it's the
Won't
whole
hurt anyone,
like there's a really horrible thing I've come across where it's like, with the pronouns thing where it's like he, him, or he, him, she, her,
He, him,
and
she, her, they, them. Yeah.
लोगों को बहुत प्रॉब्लम होती है दे देम बुला. मैंने बोला भाई प्रॉब्लम क्या है, आपको एक ही तो चीज चेंज करनी है,
But,
मुझसे कुछ और बोल लो.
look, we are not going to go down that rabbit hole because if we are going to go down that rabbit hole, then the problem becomes a completely separate problem.
चलो
कि
ठीक है,
people need to unlearn a lot of things to learn shit again.
ठीक है,
To be
I
very
understand
honest.
that, but what Ahendrila brings up is interesting in my context because I think I've actually so I had this incident where I told some family members, actually I asked them about whatever Kabir Singh or whatever they had watched, and they had expressed great liking for the film, and I was like, at that moment in time I did very much go the how can you like it or whatever, my rebelliousness sort of had no control, as you were to say. But I feel for me at least, my now response to situations like those has tempered down at least. For me it's like I don't want to make them uncomfortable about their choice and what they like also, because I'm like, I don't want to impose my beliefs on them. I'm like, if you believe that, I have expressed my point of view already to you, but like I don't want to like berate you for having your opinion on
Not
if
just that,
love-
किसी का
yeah,
opinion change करने का ठेका थोड़ी ले रखा है.
exactly.
बहुत
I think
energy
it's
जाता है, believe
also
me,
that, and it's also the fact that we have started to grow passive towards this
वो तो मेरा
bigoted
वो हाँ,
notions
वो
around
तो
us.
मेरा
At least
ही
I have. I mean, I've
passive
been
nahi.
asked
I
by
don't think it's
so
passive.
No. See, the
I
difference
have
is you
grown
can't be
very
so
passive.
passive. You can't be so passive. You know, if you are going to be so passive, the problem becomes that they will think of you as a pushover. You can't be so
But
passive.
then
But
it's
you are not going to.
I've been
Sir,
texted
मेरा
by
size
so
देखा
many
है, not a
people.
push करने में हवा निकल जाएगी किसी at this point.
But the thing is, like, I've been asked by so many people on DMs or whatever that what did you think of Animal? You not reviewed, you not put out any whatever stupid stories that you often do, and I'm like, I have an opinion. I have watched the movie, but I don't want to put it out either because any kind of opinion or discourse, any kind of take that you have on these films, it's just another noise, right? It's pointless. It's so futile in the larger
It's
context.
hilarious. It's hilarious that when a kind of sort of balanced review or any sort of review comes up, people are actually shocked.
Yeah, that's what you talk
Balance
about.
की तो problem है sir.
I don't
Balance
even
नहीं
think
चाहिए किसी को.
futility-
Balance नहीं
Exactly.
चाहिए किसी को, and that's the entire thing. It's like everybody wants to be black and white. Everybody
It's
wants
the
to
1
be.
and 10 stars thing. No?
Yes.
It's the 1 and 10
Exactly.
stars.
But Aryan, what you're saying about the futility, I think there's also just generally fatigue here. We are already fighting over
That's
politics,
what
right?
that's
We're
the
over-
passivity has seeped
over
in.
ideological politics. We're already fighting in our households.
Yeah.
Most of us. If not with households, तो मतलब मेरा discussion हो जाता है parents के साथ. रिश्तेदार तो मतलब I'm not bothered. I don't go and meet them for a particular reason.
Yeah.
Congratulations sir. मैं भी उसी company में हूँ.
Congratulations. Can we take that same route too, please? Not meeting these people. Thank you.
ये सब कितना जाएगा podcast में ये नहीं पता मुझे.
No,
but
no,
थोड़ा
that's
बहुत तो
fine.
जाएगा.
No, go
हाँ.
unfiltered.
Yeah.
क्या है? Patreon release कर देंगे.
No,
क्या Patreon release कर
मेरे
देंगे?
रिश्तेदार जानते हैं मैं उनसे मिलने नहीं आता. जिनसे मैं मिलने जाता हूँ
Vanga's
पता चल जाता है.
director's cut.
Vanga's director's cut. Yes.
Director's cut भी है इसका.
4
I
hours.
also
3 hours 50 minutes.
Nice.
He's the new Ridley Scott.
That is not a good sign for anyone.
equally. Oh God, no. Napoleon
No,
was
but
interesting.
but again, it's like
मैंने देखा है. Yeah.
we are not going to.
We are
I think
swiftly
fighting
shifting to
against-
Sam Bahadur, huh, by the way.
Yes. Fighting against people, like fighting against any sort of this sort of stuff, is just tiresome after a point. You know, if you're going to throw shade, if you're going to, put out opinions, and every time people are putting out opinions, is, oh my God, I loved it. I loved Animal. What are you talking about? SRV is great and all that stuff. You can do two things. You can just say, good, watch more movies. Or you can say, good, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Well done. You have done a great analysis. The only advice I can give you, watch more movies. That's the least you can do, and then you can just walk up.
नहीं, and you're not changing opinions.
You're not
Ultimately,
changing opinions.
जिसने बोलना है ना कि भाई यही मर्दाना है, वो
यही
उसी पे
मर्दाना
अटके
है।
रहना वाला है।
हाँ।
सही बात है।
अल्फा मेल का ओपिनियन तो बदलेगा नहीं इस पिक्चर के बारे में, या
हाँ,
किसी भी
क्योंकि
picture
अल्फा वैसे भी होता नहीं है कुछ भी, बकवास एक कॉन्सेप्ट है, जो भी हो।
आज के
You
बाद
do
तो
not
ये
have
कोई
enough-
बिलीव नहीं करेगा.
Enough evidence to disprove it. Calm down.
I have enough evidence to disprove it.
Okay.
That's
Fine.
never mind. Anyway, point is, I shall take your leave because the floor is too cold and I think I need to get inside my blanket now. Okay?
Yes.
I need to wake
Thank
up
you
at
so
6
much.
o'clock also.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Best
for
of
having
luck.
me.
Best of luck. I'm so sorry for the poor Americans who will have to face your wrath tomorrow.
Oh God.
Yes.
You are sympathetic towards Americans. ये कब से होने लगा?
When
Americans
she is
are-
involved, I'm sympathetic to everybody.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Right.
चलो ठीक
Give her
है.
the floor. Sorry.
We are not going to go there.
चलो. Okay. Thank you
No,
so
I
much,
am
Ahendrila.
genuinely sympathetic of the floor.
Your questions were great. I think they instigated a lot of great discussions about cinema in general. I
Yes.
feel, especially post Animal, how despairing we should be, essentially, about the state of what might follow in terms of films and filmmaking, etc. But yes,
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank
having me. It
you.
was
Thank
great
you.
talking, and I do hope most of the conversation makes it to the real.
it will. But at least you get spared Sam Bahadur, which sadly none of
Yes.
us.
None of us are going to get
were.
spared of it.
Yes.
एक सोल्जर के लिए उसकी जान से ज्यादा कीमती होती है उसकी इज्जत, उसकी वर्दी। और एक सोल्जर अपनी वर्दी की इज्जत के लिए अपनी जान भी दे सकता है। यही जंग है। मुझे और मेरे सोल्जर्स को इसी की ट्रेनिंग मिली है। आप राजनीति संभालिए जिसकी आपको ट्रेनिंग मिली है।
तुम्हारी जगह वही है सैम, अपने जवानों के साथ।
मुझे पॉलिटिक्स में कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं। आर्मी ही मेरी लाइफ है।
Varun sir, your intro. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So I had there's a great tweet by this comic called Sridhar. What's his name?
Chaturved.
Sridhar
Raghavan.
V. Sridhar V. Comics writer name.
Oh.
Acha,
He
sorry.
said he wrote
The
this
Raghavan
thing
is a bad writer. Come on.
the day before I think the film's release. Some people will get to watch an alpha male, a macho man, the definition of how a real man should be, and others will see Sandeep Reddy Vanga's movie.
Nice, nice.
It's a great lead up into Sam Bahadur. So I'm quickly going to go over Field Marshal Manik show.
Yes.
Oh, it's just like the movie.
Yeah. No, I'll do a better job.
Yeah, I think so. Hope
Yeah.
so.
Field Marshal
That
Sam
difficult, but yeah.
Hormuzji Framji Jamshedji Manekshaw Military Cross was born in 1914. He joined the army in 1935. He was wounded during the Second World War when he was with his parent unit, the 4th Battalion of the 12th Frontier Force Regiment.
ये कहा था मूवी पे?
ये है
हाँ
movie
था,
में।
ये तो था सर,
याद नहीं
सब
आ
कुछ
रहा है।
सीन में तो
And-
बॉर्न होता है ना, बाद में
याद
सीधा
नहीं आता
मैरिज
है।
हो जाता है।
याद नहीं
So,
है।
Dance
Uh,
Yeah.
for
Sorry.
his action at a place called Sitang in Burma, or at a river called Sitang in Burma, he was awarded the Military Cross after receiving 9 bullet wounds in the abdomen. He, in the post-war and post-independence army, he sort of rose through the ranks, which the film really jumps through. But some of his most significant appointments were his time in the Military Operations Directorate in Delhi, during the course of which he saw firsthand the accession of Kashmir to India after it was invaded by tribals that were being backed by Pakistan. He went on to serve in various command and staff appointments until he ran afoul of the defense minister, Mr. Krishna Menon, sometime in the late 50s, early 60s. And this disagreement, to put it politely, resulted in a court of inquiry against him, and of which he was acquitted because the officers heading that inquiry had greater integrity than Menon did. And Menon himself was partly responsible for the fiasco that was the 1962 Sino-Indo War. And in the aftermath of that, one of the formations that suffered greatly was a formation called 4 Corps in Tezpur. And then Major General Manekshaw was promoted to Lieutenant General and asked to take over 4 Corps and sort of revive the morale of the troops. Further success in professional life, he became Western Army Commander in Simla in, I think, 1963. And from there he moved to Calcutta in 1964.
ये सब नहीं है ना?
All this
Calcutta
is
move.
there in the film.
Calcutta move है?
Yeah, it's there in
Okay.
the film.
Okay.
So I think 64 or 65 he moved to Calcutta as the Eastern Army Commander. At that time, the Northeast was a particularly difficult region.
Oh yes.
Given the major sort of insurgencies happening there. And in 1969, the government appointed him the Chief of Army Staff. I think he was India's 8th Chief of Army Staff post-independence, and he became a general, went to Delhi. In 71, war appeared to be on the horizon with Bangladesh because a bunch of East Pakistani Bengali refugees were streaming into India, into Bengal and Tripura. And after about 9 months of something that the Pakistanis called Operation Searchlight, which was a heavy crackdown on the Bengali populace in East Pakistan.
And which was basically a blink and you will miss it scene in the movie.
In the film as well, yeah.
Yes.
And after that, actually more like 8 months later, in mid-November of 71, the first skirmishes started in a place called Garibpur, which we saw in a terrible film called Pippa. Not terrible, but a below average film called
I refuse to believe it's worse than this, but yes, okay.
And soon after, on the 3rd of December, the Pakistani Air Force bombed airfields across the north of India. So Agra, Amritsar, Avantipura, multiple other places, and war broke out. Field Marshal Manekshaw had guaranteed victory on his terms in 2 weeks.
Hmm.
The war began on 3rd December and it came to an end on 16th. Flat 13-day finish.
Yeah.
Pakistan surrendered the largest number of prisoners of war since the end of the Second World War. About 93,000 prisoners were taken. And they were housed largely subsequently over the next year and a half across India.
Yeah.
And various things had happened in 1972, including a very interesting thing when he was supposed to retire, but he was granted an extension, which he apparently didn't want. Something the film completely forgets. Because
क्यों वो इंदिरा गांधी के साथ क्या होता है?
That's just his retirement essentially.
अच्छा, okay.
That's not the extension part.
I'm just clarifying.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job. I would highly recommend people to listen to him and not watch the film.
Yes, that's what I was going to put. This is going to be the commentary track, and this is going to be the replacement of the movie. For people, this is your free Sam Bahadur ka movie. Listen to it and move on.
और background में विक्की कौशल की image play कर लेना
बस हो जाएगा, सब कुछ हो जाएगा, कोई issue नहीं है.
Then I think on New Year's Eve or just before in 1972, the government announced that they would elevate him to the rank of Field Marshal, which didn't exist in India until then. He became India's first, as we call them in the armed forces, 5-star general officer. He was pipped, as we call it again, to the rank on the 3rd of Jan of 1973. And he demitted office as the army chief on the 15th of January, which is Army Day. But because field marshals never retire, he continued to hold his rank for life. And he passed away at the age of 94 in 2008.
Yeah.
So,
and his last words were,
supposedly they were, "I am okay." And he also had tremendous sort of directorships over the years after leaving active service.
Okay. Can I ask you one simple question, Varun?
Yeah.
Was there ever anything bad? Was Sam Bahadur ever a bad person in his life? Like, did he do anything wrong in public vicinity?
You know, the one thing that the film could have dwelt upon was the fact that he could say very acidic things. He may have meant them lightly in the way we see it happen in Oppenheimer as well, funnily enough.
Yes.
He had a very wry humor, right?
He was constantly making, politically incorrect remarks, and they could really be misconstrued.
Touch upon that, the UK thing, best country in
अरे वो तो clarify करके बोल देते हैं कि सब ठीक है.
No, but he was asked. I read this in one of the biographies of his life, which the film also draws heavily from. And a reporter asked him, and he gave I presume it was an honest answer when he said, "London is the best city in the world." He may not have wanted to say Delhi.
But he says that, and then later
Europe.
he explains कि वो Europe लिखा था उसमें, but वो जो भी है, ताकि image पे आधा जो wrinkle है वो भी ना आए, ताकि वो.
It's that Hirani question mark kind of.
I don't know, sir. I would give Hirani more credit than I am. So appalled by Meghna Gulzar's direction in this that I'm just.
But to answer your question, there are, I suppose, somebody would today say, why did the operations in 1947 in Kashmir go the way they did when he was one of the officers directing those operations from Delhi? But the fact is that the people who would ask those questions today are probably not very well versed with the ground reality of India's troop dispositions in Kashmir at the time, and the very few people who were holding on to this humongous amount of territory and essentially trying to save the lives of this massive population, which had.
But what you are saying, Varun, what you're saying actually, to me at least, never comes across in any scene in the movie. There's no peril for me, no danger, nothing is there.
So Varun, can we play a game here? Let's play a game. Okay. Let's play a game here. Okay. How do we improve this great man narrative? Because other than the acidic humor and a couple of politically incorrect statements, Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw seems like a person who is God's gift to earth.
He's not a person.
I'm not being sarcastic.
He's not a person. He's a deity.
Hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. So, how do we make this great man narrative interesting? I have a supposition. Tell me if you agree with me on this. There is a movie, if you don't know about it, by Sergei Bondarchuk called Waterloo.
I have not watched.
Neither have I, sir. क्या है ये?
So it's Napoleon's last battle.
Okay.
I know
it's
this because
it's an epic movie, quote unquote epic, in which Bondarchuk meticulously reconstructs all of the events of Waterloo battle. Okay, along with Kaun Jeeta, Kaun Hara, he took numerous number of extras and everything. Okay, and he also showed Napoleon through a distance. Napoleon in this movie was played by Rod Steiger. Okay, I'm not saying that the movie was great. I am saying कि if you are going to show me a great man narrative, but you can't make it any more interesting beyond this superficial staid bullshit of a narrative, can you do it by going completely internally and focusing on the details of the battle, or how focusing on all of the minutiae? Because we know for a fact that focusing on details of any of this sort of stuff is very, very interesting. I would cite courtroom dramas, in which courtroom dramas, if showed through a detail-oriented lens, becomes very fascinating.
Right.
Would that have worked? Like because Sam Manekshaw's entire career spans a lot of significant achievements.
Yes.
So if this could have been done, say like 2 or 3 series of movies, or a mini series with Kaushal's character, with Kaushal's
Mini series ही, हाँ.
with
Picture,
Kaushal's
हाँ.
performance, do you think it could have worked? Because honestly, Kaushal's performance is so good in this movie. He deserved a better story. He deserved a better screenplay.
Yeah.
इतना किया बंदा ने मूवी में. I was like, क्यों इतना कोशिश कर रहा है इस मूवी? This movie doesn't deserve this performance. So do you agree, someone?
I agree with you for the simple reason that the film fails to understand the perils that he was often in.
Exactly, right.
Right. I'll give you a couple of examples over here. The 9 bullet wounds that he received.
Yes.
He was not treated for quite a while. And by that, I mean hours and hours. He was alive, but he was not being looked at because the doctors thought he was as good as gone.
Yes.
All right. I think that moment perhaps would have been worth staying with.
Yes.
What was this man perhaps thinking of?
Yes.
You know, the fact that his wife has done such a disservice. You know, they just establish her hurriedly, and then
I will interject. Complete. I will say.
I hate to say this because I don't want people to feel this way about most things. I was offended by the suggestion that Mrs. Manekshaw was ever jealous or
what a weird thing, right?
That also for the briefest second, two scenes, that's it. Like 2 looks.
Weird thing, right?
You know, and her contributions within the organization towards welfare and all, which are important to the organization, were tremendous. Then why would you reduce her to being this person? You know, and just the idea that, you know, the story goes that they apparently slept in separate bedrooms because he used to snore. I think that makes for a great anecdote, but the film tries to bring it in so lazily that it doesn't work. And going back to that peril thing that I was talking about, the mission to Kashmir was an extremely dangerous mission because they had no idea how close the tribals and the Pakistani irregulars were to Kashmir. They had already burnt Baramulla and massacred the town and looted it, and, you know, pretty much done all the sort of medieval things that you'd expect people to do. And everybody knew that they were on the way. The idea that Gulzar is not interested in that at all. She's just interested in getting him on the ground, having that bit of dialogue bazi with Maharaja Hari Singh, and getting him out of there. It's just, instead she chooses to reflect on, the ingenious lighting up of the airfield, which is
it's also a badly visualized scene, I have to say. There's no sense of scale or grandeur or anything to it. It's
also, what is with this documentary footage in place of
in the middle? I hated that.
I hated that. What is that?
No, it's speeding up through history. That's it. That is the only, or budgetary concerns. You can't film the battle, so put that in, or whatever it is.
No, but that's also my problem, right? If you have budgetary concerns, why are you making a movie of Sam Manekshaw?
Or why are you making it like a sprawling saga?
bloody horseshit movie. Shershah had better budget and battle sequences than this movie.
Way
Battle
better.
sequences तो है ही नहीं किसी बात
I've
के यहाँ पे.
heard even Pippa has like way better stage.
No, I was very
sequences.
disappointed with Pippa's tank sequences. But then again, you know,
Isn't that the whole movie though? Pippa isn't Pippa
No.
the name of the tank?
The Pippa is the name of the tank. But I mean, let's not get sidetracked. I think another thing that Sam Bahadur completely, and what I'm hearing from a lot of people is they're saying this to me that, oh, you know this, the rest of the, I'm like, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is, can you make an interesting film about facts that are already in the public domain? Because you are literally, the film does nothing more than that. All these facts.
Oh, it is nothing.
Yeah, it's literally a Wikipedia page.
Yep,
so
it
then
is.
You never, the fact that when it reaches that court of inquiry, it fails to acknowledge the power Krishna Menon had. They used to call him Nehru's evil genius. There's a very racist Time magazine cover of Krishna Menon from the 60s with cobras and snake charming apparatus visualized alongside him.
Oh, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Yeah.
So Krishna Menon was an extremely powerful defense minister. He had a public spat with the then army chief General Thimayya. General Thimayya had resigned and then been essentially told that, you know, you can't really resign, and it had led to a loss of face for the army publicly. It had done a lot of things, and that's sort of the incident that also brought this officer General B.M. Kaul, whom we see played by Ujjwal Chopra, into the limelight. The film completely underestimates the kind of power they wielded.
Because that would undermine the great man narrative, na Varun?
No, but my point is that you can still, a great man narrative works even better when his opponents are people who are committed to a sort of villainy, for lack of a better word.
Were compelling villains.
Which can be successful.
But time kahan hai, Varun? There is no time na, to do it. Like if you're fitting, there is vast amounts of history clobbered together here, right?
You know, okay, so I'm going to
Vanga ko bulao is movie banane ko.
There's a reason. I think just before Razi came out is when she officially made clear the fact that she's going to be making this biopic. At that time, I was writing a screenplay on Field Marshal Maneksha's life. I jumped because I was like, clearly she's got the money, she's got everything.
Time to bring that screenplay out, mate.
Yeah.
So my screenplay started with the Sitang River battle because I felt that this man had come so close to death. That has to be sort of the most, and you know, the fact that he had a 3-year-old daughter at home, that's got to mean something.
Their daughters are barely in the frame.
Their daughters aren't in the film.
Yep.
That he's got a wife to whom he's been married for just about 4 years. You know, none of that is, and apparently, you know, there was a great anecdote about it. And because they introduced the father in like literally the second or third frame of the film, second scene actually, I felt that they might go there. Apparently, Field Marshal Manekshaw, after he was shot in Burma, his father came to see him in hospital, or whenever he recovered, he got back home, and his organs were naturally in a state, and his father was like, my son, you've been shot in the stomach, you should stop smoking and drinking and you'll die, or you'll die. And he apparently said to an interviewer whom he was recounting this incident to, he said, I listened to my father and I almost died. I think that is much quirkier, it's much funnier, much more funny.
So you're saying they even selected the worst sort of anecdotes. This is even worse.
Yeah, they're going with, you know, he famously is believed to have said, if a man is not afraid of dying, he's either lying or he's a Gorkha. They shoved that into the film in the most random place.
Yes.
Out
of nowhere.
That's what I'm saying.
Out of nowhere.
It doesn't
frustration bolo.
Yeah, it doesn't understand the episode structure either. It doesn't appreciate the episode structure either. On the other hand, I'm also not convinced by the critics who are saying, oh, the film paints Jawaharlal Nehru in very bad light. I'm like, yeah, well, you know, losing a war against an enemy you've appeased for the last 7-8 years is not going to win you plot
Is
hits
not
in
going
your
to
own
win you any
country.
plot hits.
अगर critics का वो इस फिल्म से सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है तो मैं पूछूंगा कि भाई और देख लो बाकी की पिक्चर में चल क्या रहा था अच्छा.
No,
To be
and
very
also like
honest.
some people have been like, oh, Indira Gandhi is not given her due. I'm like, when Uri was made, you said, why is Modi being given his due? So then when Sam Bahadur is being made, why should Indira Gandhi be
Sir,
given her
ये
due? She'll
सारे
be given her
प्रॉब्लम
due in her.
ये सारे प्रॉब्लम्स तो
भाई
तब
can I
होंगे.
yeah can I say
हाँ.
this? ये सब पॉइंट्स तभी निकालने जाते हैं जब आधे से ज्यादा ये सब क्रिटिक लोग मूवी देख के कुछ पॉइंट नहीं निकाल पाते हैं.
But इस मूवी
ठीक
में
है.
है निकालने लायक बहुत.
Yeah.
Like that inquiry, for instance, wanted to bring the intelligence bureau chief as one of their as somebody to depose before it.
That
And he
inquiry
got-
chief ka, you know what I remember the most? The guard outside.
Yeah.
Who, because he's used as the setup.
हाँ.
That's the setup. Conflict अंदर चलता है और payoff end में होता है. हर
हाँ.
scene. Honest, I'm so pissed off at this film because I
Immediate
value her as a
resolution.
director.
Yeah.
I value her as a filmmaker, and I was a bit appalled by how badly this is directed. And I've seen my share of bad biopics,
films.
right?
But you
We
know,
have all have.
here's the thing
Yeah.
with even that inquiry scene. Again, this is something you'll have to dig to find out. But
Yeah.
if you're making a biopic on a man, you're expected to know more than the
Yeah.
average viewer, right?
Of
Yeah,
course.
if I'm going to watch this movie and then at least same or more than that information is present on his Wikipedia page, why the fuck would I want to watch his movie?
Yeah. So the interesting thing about that inquiry, if my memory serves me well and my knowledge serves me well, is that the officer who was heading that inquiry, the one you see sitting in the center, slightly broad-shouldered, square-faced, was an officer called General Daulat Singh. 2 years after that inquiry, General Daulat died in a helicopter crash. And who should go to replace him in his appointment as Western Army commander but Sam? These are moments that, you know, are left on the table.
Varun, time to bring that screenplay out.
हाँ,
and
screenplay
write
निकालो
one.
sir आप. हाँ.
The fact that the film is not interested in him is probably the most disappointing thing about the film.
Because I don't even care that it sounds like or anything. The amount of events that are being shown in this movie in quick succession, it showed a potential of the movie which is so wasted, it made me angry.
And you say complete, sorry, I'll say that. Yeah.
Angry. And the worst part is like Vicky Kaushal's almost bravura of a performance.
Yeah.
It made me even more angry because I'm like, you are putting so much effort in this mid-tier to low-tier screenplay. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
अरे भाई मतलब उसके लिए तो actorally break ही है ना, like it's a big role for him in
Then
terms
it's a
of
complete
leading of it.
waste. Then it's a complete waste, and that's my whole
That's
point.
That's on Meghna Gulzar. I feel. I mean, I think the thing Aryan, you go after this, huh? The thing I noted most, at least, was just how every scene had this whole mechanical setup, conflict resolution in the way where I was just like, I can see through these mechanics so transparently. I'm like, come on, you have to do better. Like, you have to be doing better than this most basic. And basic maybe kuch hi nahi tha. Like, I felt, and I mean, I like the Vicky Kaushal performance too, but I feel he, like all other characters, is just stuck playing this one noted generosity. Like, he is courageous and sincere, etc.
Yeah.
But then everyone else is also just that one thing they're doing again and again and again. And I'm just like, give them something else, please.
They're all in service of him as opposed to having an independent existence of their own.
Sanya, I felt so bad. I was like, what is Sanya Malhotra doing actually? I'm like, because I remember her from Pataka. And I think she's actually phenomenal in that, right? So I'm like,
She has been phenomenal. She has been phenomenal in a lot of movies. Pataka, I haven't seen. She was very good in Puglet. I don't know whether the movie is that good or not, but Puglet, she was very good in.
Yeah, but I'm like, you're using her here like this? I'm like, this is... And I think someone had warned me about... They had said that
she was used better in goddamn Jawan.
Yeah, Fatima Sana Sheikh, someone had told me is really bad as Indira Gandhi. But I'm like, what can the poor woman do if the director
I told you she's
her
really bad. I stand by that assessment.
No, but
she
what
is
will
bad.
she do? But what will she do if she's
I think
given
the
one
pitch
note
in
to
itself,
play?
exactly. Yeah. The pitch in itself.
One thing she's doing throughout the film. I'm like, what should the actors even do here?
You know what the biggest problem that I felt Sam Bahadur suffer from. It doesn't know what theme it's trying to focus on. And that's why the episodic nature of its sprawling 4 decades saga story, whatever, it becomes a chore. And it becomes the most boring ass chore that I have watched in a theater this year. Because honestly, in the first half, I texted you guys on the group that
You
I
said
went
you almost
Friday
dozed off or
afternoon show.
something, right?
I was like, I can't. Is this movie really this bad, or am I just because I've come from work? Is that why I'm feeling so sleepy? But then
Both.
thing is, yeah, both. So there's one scene that had potential of the kind of poeticism and that character juxtaposition that we would come to expect from someone like Gulzar, right? Where again Mohammad Zishan Ayub's character that was I don't
I was thinking it was him, right? And then he
it
becomes
was
that,
him
that
prosthetic
bloated man.
laden.
But I feel like you either take a different actor,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
you then forget authenticity, because I get it.
Yeah.
Yahya Khan was obese, and he was by the time the 71 war happened, he was obese, he was drinking, he was a womanizer. I get
Yeah.
all that, but you still need us to recognize him, no? Just
Yeah,
shame on the mustache.
people didn't realize that it's the same guy.
I was like,
doesn't look like
who is this
Zishan,
bloated
right?
man? I'm like,
Yeah.
because he looked bloated, not because he
Yeah.
had prosthetics which were very like distracting also. So I was like, whatever.
But
Anyways,
in
you
that
said.
one scene where right before the independence scene,
Yes.
he's giving this speech, right? And he switches to the native language, okay? And he starts conversing and giving a speech in Punjabi.
Yeah.
And when they are cheering that salute to the army, salute to the army, salute to the Indian army, that's when it's like good, okay? Like wo conflict, like
Create ho gaya hai.
two people from different same motives, but now because of the
That's the
partition.
only. But that's the only thing
Exactly.
that comes at the end, right? Otherwise, everything.
But even
is
by the end, when it comes by the end, it's like middle का portion पूरा वापस hollow आपने भर दिया है.
Not just
And now
that.
it's too late for it to retrieve your film back to the
No, and there's no interaction, right? So retrieve
exactly,
करोगे भी कहाँ से?
exactly.
Because
Exactly.
real life में भी कोई interaction हुआ नहीं उनका after
But
that.
then again, that's when
if you're
the
going to go in that service line of
that's when the filmmaking avenue comes in, right? To build upon that dichotomy.
ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं है कि सिनेमैटिक लिबर्टीज नहीं ले सकते हो. और
हाँ,
अगर
no, you know
सिनेमैटिक लिबर्टी अगर नहीं लेना चाहते हो, you can do mirroring, you can show कि mental battle हो रहा है. At least give me something.
you can go the way of saying
करो cross-cut.
Sam lived for another 37 years after the 71 war.
Exactly.
Yahya died after 9.
Yeah.
Or because you picked up the Tikka Khan character.
Yes.
Tikka Khan, I'm not sure whether this is accurate, but it must be because they've done a lot of research and they want to tell you they've done a lot of research, which is again
लिखा है ना, researched by whatever.
Oh God. It's not researched also, sir. At this point, they just didn't want to pay the two people who have written books on Field Marshal Manekshaw, General Dipinder Singh and Brigadier Behram Panthaki. Unki books उठाई हैं, उनसे टेपा है and picture बनाई है. It feels like that.
That's so sad.
Quite possibly also वही हुआ है.
No, and I mean, General Dipinder is like 93 now. I mean, क्या ही हो जाएगा if you pay him like a few lakhs for rights to his book. Anyway, so he's acknowledged, him and Brigadier Panthaki and Mrs. Panthaki, who co-wrote the book with her husband, are acknowledged in like the opening sort of credits, whatever they are. So with Tikka Khan, for instance, the Kasai that he's supposed to be boxing with, novices boxing at the academy. After the 71 war ended, Tikka Khan, who was called the Butcher of Bengal, he had sort of pretty much gone on a rampage there. He was appointed the chief of the Pakistan army. That is your conflict. Why are you going to Yahya? Why are you seeking to create connections between multiple characters where you can, and not doing multiple well, where you can do this? And apparently there was like talks with General Tikka Khan after the like Field Marshal Manekshaw traveled to Pakistan. He was given like a hero's welcome and everything. There were people at the airport to see him and cheer him. Unimaginable, right? This is a country that has defeated you in a war 6 months ago. And the story goes that he was at the Punjab, the governor of Pakistan, Punjab, at his residence, And the governor apparently said to him, "Sir, my staff wants to meet you." So he went out to meet the staff, and among the staff, one man was wearing a pagdi. He took his pagdi off and kept it to the field marshal's feet. And the field marshal said, "Why did you do this?" And this man replied to him that 5 of my sons are your prisoners in India. They tell me that you've taken care of them. They get good food. They live in Pakka barracks and your men sleep in tents, which is true. Indian troops who had won the war had to vacate their barracks and sleep in tents so that we could give the Pakistanis the accommodation they were accorded by the Geneva Convention. So this man apparently then went on to say, "I've heard that you gave them the Quran Sharif and this, that, and the other." These are insights into the man. Why would you find that? Why would
It's
you
really unfortunate.
find that visit to Pakistan, that meeting with Tikka Khan, you know, and apparently Tikka Khan had to convince his driver. Field Marshal Manekshaw was in the habit of giving drivers and bearers gifts like usually wristwatches. So Tikka Khan's driver apparently refused to accept a watch from the field marshal, and Tikka Khan had to intervene that, you can take it and there's no harm done and all that. And they had like conversations about what accommodation should be like, this, that, and the other. And there was some maneuvering by Field Marshal Manekshaw that, "Oh, you like bungalows, I like we have to make do with multi-story buildings because we don't have land, so why don't you just give me that bit of land you've taken during the war?" That tells you about the man, but your film is not interested.
Your film is not interested in the man. Your film is interested in the deification of the man.
And that also it can't do well.
I don't think I don't think it's like the images aren't memorable even. Like there's nothing in this movie.
Also another interesting thing in which reality crossed with Sam Bahadur basically is that Henry Kissinger.
I don't know if that really happened. I'm not.
I have no idea whether that meeting happened either, which is surprising.
But that was good.
But that was good. And also because Henry Kissinger was a huge asshole and may he burn in hell. But also the fact that it's giving now people are more interested into what Kissinger did, and to that extent what the Vietnam War was, what his entire perspective was, and what America's entire perspective was to the third world countries and everything. It doesn't matter whether the meeting happened or not. The fact that you introduced it, at least elaborate just a tad bit.
Yeah, and elaborate because the US did try to intervene in the 71 war.
Yes, of course.
They sent warships.
इससे अच्छा तो US intervention खुफिया में था.
हाँ. But like
I
was just looking at my notes for the film, and again, these are things that somebody like me who's lived with an army officer for 24 years will know. But I felt like the things that he could dwell on, for instance, the officer who pins the medal to him in Burma is the same officer you see in the academy take his stripes off. His instructor from the academy was a major in 1932-35, was now a major general and his GOC, and General Cowan brought out his own medal and pinned it. That is such that, years ago I had to take this man's stripes off because he was indisciplined. Today this act of valor is, I'm going to give him my own military cross because you can't give one to a
sir, but you're totally right. I mean, one of the big things I didn't note it here, but the film has no sense of time. If time is passing, you have to feel the sense of time passing, or if time is moving quickly, you have to feel the sense of time moving quickly. Here, neither is felt. It's just like stuff is thrown at you. And it's
but like editing bhi kuch bhi ho raha hai. Like it's like scene ke baad.
Cunningly poor editing.
Yes.
And again, passage of time.
और एक म्यूजिक कितनी बार यूज करोगे सैम बहादुर का ट्यून बार-बार मैंने बोला आ गया समझ वैलर है बहुत.
And funnily enough, the track from the trailer that they used, which I actually liked, is not in the film.
Yes.
Ketan Soda's. I felt like I noted the passage of time based on how the uniform changed a little bit. Like sometime in the late 60s, early 70s, nameplates came in. Before that, nobody wore a nameplate in the armed forces. They just
so all that was accurate.
That
accuracy के points थोड़ी ना उतने मिलेंगे सर जब अच्छी नहीं होगी picture.
If the film is
that is not even.
But because accuracy is a problem in these movies, credit to them for getting that right. That you didn't
drama भूल गए बस.
So that's when I'm asking because that's when of how badly written and edited
because
directed films.
that is the
hoping to
similar
get away
that
with
is
the
the
research.
similar that is the similar comparison to credit to the creators of Animal, that they got the Punjabi dialect right. They forgot everything else. They forgot how to write a good story. They forgot how to write a good movie. Good for them.
But I'd say a dialect still goes a different way, because a dialect does not radically alter, whereas the uniform did over time.
I
And
mean,
like
considering
finding
the fact that the director is from a different state
Yeah.
and he's focusing so
Yeah.
much on the milieu, credit for
True.
that.
credit to them.
But he forgot everything else.
But I don't even know, Aryan, whether you can credit them for getting the uniforms and all, right? Because the amount of sort of support they've gotten from the army,
From the army,
the film,
yeah.
like the
Yeah.
army is like, whatever you need, we'll give you to make
Yeah,
this
yeah.
movie.
वो
And
तो देंगे ही ना
because
सर,
that is-
इसमें
Just
बुरा
don't
क्या है
fuck it
कुछ
up.
आर्मी के बारे में?
Which is
No,
my
but
big,
then
which is my
again-
big question. Which is my big question. If you're
Yeah.
getting, I'm sorry, Aryan,
No,
interrupt you.
no, go on.
No. If you're getting so much access from the army, why won't you make an exhaustive biopic?
Because you can, apparently, I came to know this when I read more about this movie. Apparently, Varun would know more about this and he can elaborate more upon this. But apparently, for any kind of movie that you want to make on war or Indian Army, you have to go through Ministry of Defense and get a
but
certificate from them.
that clearance has always existed. It existed during border. It
No,
existed.
I'm generally saying it's not a political thing.
Or
I'm
it's
just
not
saying
as
that.
and it's not as if कि ये
But
movie
no,
ये
no, you
movie एक
cannot-
slander है army के लिए, right? It's not a
But no,
slander
you
against
cannot
army.
even remotely show anything that shows the army's insufficiency or whatever,
But that
or
they did.
the army officer
62
in a
war
weak
was
way.
like. No, I don't think showing him in a weak way would have been a problem, because you can always say he was wearing civilian clothes in that moment. Those are your inventive moments, and I'm sure what must have, because his parents are never established, we'll never know how hurt he must have been when his parents passed away, right? We'll never know what he felt like. Not one of the great tragedies of his life, in his own words, was the fact that he didn't get to go and study medicine because he was too young to go to England when he completed his senior Cambridge, and he didn't speak to his father for 18 months. But because you're so completely, you don't even go to that part of the life, so it's no point
It's a
critiquing that.
guy.
But where do I feel the rapport between a husband and a wife?
अरे वो एक दो
she's
बातें
just-
पारसी जोक जो मार लेते हैं बस वही.
she's just half the time she's having to tell him that tell him things that the film is also telling us, that you're
How do we
इससे
know
better
that Sam
chemistry तो
Malik
वो उसके साथ है जो उनका हेल्पर है
with the
house
cook, with the
Yeah.
cook.
How do we know
At
that
least
Sam
comedy
Malik
है
is
उसमें.
How do we know that Sam Manekshaw is Parsi? He is conversing with a soldier about Parsi food. Yay!
It's so terrible. Like, then don't do it, no, yaar. Mat karo.
Yeah.
No, you know what could have been a great central theme of this movie तो थोड़ा coherent बन जाता. I think it is kind of touching to the, and being Meghna Gulzar, I can also see how it could have been the central theme, at least in her head before the multiple rewrites or whatever the film went through, is the constant tussle between the political and the army. Like the politics of a
वही,
nation.
that's what
Yeah.
he keeps on saying,
Because
right?
it is very, very evident. It gets brought up like twice from Sam
it gets
Bahadur
brought
itself,
up, yeah,
from
that's
himself.
it.
Because
But that could have been like
of
a
course.
great theme, especially in today's contemporary India, right?
Yes.
When army is, sorry for going very unhinged, but when army is constantly being
unhinged.
exploited before every election cycle, that see,
सियाचिन में हमारे जवान लड़ रहे हैं.
not just that, but
the
Pulwama
government
and all
using
that, right?
the government
Yeah.
using the army as a way to
And
means to get
you know
votes.
what scene I actually liked a lot on paper, but again the way it was executed again comes and goes. When she calls Sam Bahadur and she's
Yes.
like, Pakistan mein they're overthrowing the government, and you know what I'm trying to say, Bahadur, right? Like tomorrow, I don't want any of this bullshit being done to me.
But that
And
was, I think,
another scene when so I'll just
yeah.
another scene where his wife asks him that is she a better leader than Nehru, and he says that she
Time will tell.
doesn't think
Dresses
by
well.
heart. Yeah, she uses her mind more than her heart. And she asks, is that supposed to be a good thing or not? And he's like, we'll find out. And then it cuts. And that's like,
Yeah.
it's really
And
good.
Indira's emergency देखो sir.
It could have, the thing is, it could have reflected on the fact that Nehru and Indira were both concerned about coups purely because Pakistan mein it's like a World Cup, right? Sir, हर 4 साल coup हो गया. Sir, coup हो गया. Sir, फिर से आ गए. Coup हो गया. It's that. It's literally a habit in that country.
पर coup को compare कर रहे हो.
Wow, Jesus Christ.
I mean, that country is a joke. मैं joke मारूं तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है?
No, that is actually true. I'm sorry,
is
but
true.
yeah, it's true. Yeah.
But I mean, even Bangladesh, right? Mujibur Rahman was dead in 4 years of independence. 71 independence, 75 Mujib is gone.
ये सब actually you're saying all this, ये खुफिया में better है ये सब, even though वो उसका central focus नहीं है, ये सब खुफिया में ही better
again, no खुफिया slander
खुफिया अच्छी picture है sir.
But I think what you're saying, no, Aryan, is I think the film would have also still messed it up because at this point
theme hota koi boring nahi banti picture.
But then we would have gone down the route of saying, oh, they essentially turned the field marshal into a
statement.
Into a political figure when at that time, इतने opinions नहीं होते थे लोगों के. People had
ये क्या बना दिया, ये तो कुछ भी नहीं है.
ये क्या है? तो ये क्या है?
But नहीं है ना.
It robs him of the nuance that he still brought.
नहीं, इसमें तो कुछ like he doesn't come across as anything. My big problem is that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
he comes off as a cardboard cutout
also
filled with
Ronnie
scrolls.
Screwvala's very obvious political leanings on social media. I think the film not going into a political realm is only better.
What are his I'm curious now.
I mean, I think RSVP cut कर देना अगर मैं गलत हूँगा, but I think RSVP has reposted some BJP ads or something on their Instagram.
तो कट मत करना.
अरे but check कर लेना.
ये pro government.
आप इसके बारे में डर रहे हो? मैंने तो
नहीं check कर लेना.
की पिक्चर के बारे में बोल दिया.
हमने तो एनिमल में इतना पॉलिटिक्स घुसा दिया. वो भी पॉलिटिकल है quote unquote.
मैं ही check कर लेता हूँ because this is what I think. But again, like the thing is that
सर आप अपना वर्जन जब निकालोगे बताना प्लीज, क्योंकि ये वर्जन तो इससे डरने की
you know what Varun, don't make this a movie, write it into a book.
No, I'd love to, if they are pretty much endorsing the Prime Minister on RSVP's Instagram page. So it would have turned into a political statement for the current dispensation.
She did so
didn't
well
even exist at the time.
He did so well with Razi in terms of the politics of it and everything.
I don't think that comes in over here because ultimately
fair enough. Okay, but I don't.
I'll give you why I feel a certain way about this. This film is ultimately going to depict Indira Gandhi in some way or the other. Whose daughter is Meghna Gulzar.
Yes.
Who did Gulzar make a movie about in Andhi? Indira Gandhi. Whose first band? Gulzar.
Yes.
Explains so much, right? Why she would have a lack of interest or respect for that whole.
No, but then I'm just like,
because you can't.
But again, exactly my point. If you have that much of an apathy or an anger towards that government or however much you are trying to say, why make something like this? Give this to some other director.
No,
this is milk toast. Bad milk toast.
Cut the Prime Minister out and have him communicate his conversations with her to another
someone else. Yeah.
It's
one
thing that stayed with me about the partition bit especially is that when partition happened, right, the Indian army also had to be partitioned. You see him give orders that map.
That scene was actually good. I was
that's the only good scene in the movie.
I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Will go. So at that time, because certain regiments drew their core strength from different areas, they went to the Pakistan army. Certain regiments stayed with us. Like my dad's regiment was always in what is today India, the Maratha Allies. So they stayed in the Indian army. But something like the Baluch regiment, because Baluchistan happens to be in present-day Pakistan, they went to the Pakistan army. Similarly, Sam's regiment, the Frontier Force regiment, they went to the Pakistan army. Now, in the army, I can remember this very clearly. In 2007, at some point, I saw my father go from brass stars and the Ashokan lion on his shoulder to black stars and Ashokan lion on his shoulder. And to me, it was a shock because it reflects a change in your subunit level, right? And it is actually a pretty significant thing in his life to lose your regiment, which is to lose your unit, which is your home. There's a reason it's called a parent unit in the army.
Yes.
Why would you not dwell on that for a second, that he had to change the brass of the frontier force for the black of the 8th Gorkha Rifles? He came to love the Gorkhas and they loved him right back. But there must have been a moment where he felt, even as he accepted the fact that this is partition, this is how it's going to be, there surely must have been one thought that, I'll not see my men again. They'll be going home. Their home is in West Punjab and they'll soon be in the Pakistan army. Of course, he didn't know then that we'd be at loggerheads with that country. But some idea and nothing. The film is just
Again, sir, you are bringing up the age-old question ki fidelity towards any sort of source, kitna maintain hona chahiye and kuch bhi. And that's always a dicey point, right, to bring up. Always a dicey point to bring up. But again, it's the choice of it, and that's what the entire vision of a director comes into focus. Aur isme to kuch tha hi nahi. So
it
it's
feels,
like, kya hi bole?
again, that whole thing, like, why would you, for me, it was just weird that you would bring in the co-writer of Badhai Ho to write the screenplay. I'm not saying screenwriters shouldn't write different types of screenplays, but I felt that Badhai Ho-ness in the
Badhai
Mrs.
Ho
Manik
ya
Shaw-
Badhai Do?
Badhai Ho.
Okay.
Shantanu Srivastava, I think he wrote
Okay.
Badhai Ho.
The not good one, got it.
The
Okay.
first one, I don't know.
Yeah. The
But
not good.
First Wali wasn't that bad.
It was
Second wali was good.
But
second wali was very good.
It
Yeah.
reflected very clearly in those Mrs. Manekshaw versus Mrs. Gandhi moments, and I was like, why? And it had those horrible audio cues.
Audio cues, yes.
Triangle
Yes.
myself.
I was like, क्या बना दिया ये आपने?
Can I ask what was the deal with that entire bullshit of Mrs. Manekshaw getting even remotely jealous with?
Why would you, right? I mean,
why would you?
Don't even get me started on that phone call conversation.
Jesus Christ, that shit came out of nowhere. I'm like, ये क्या हो रहा है? ये क्या ealing comedy है? हो क्या रहा है यहाँ पे?
I think there's a bit of campiness also to the way he performs the character. I actually, again, the
flamboyance I like.
the
The flamboyance I like. The way he's saying minister and everything. After a point, because the movie is so boring, that flamboyance is the only thing holding you from watching it. Yeah.
Also, it was
It
a very
hasn't-
characteristic thing for him because he was very insistent that his officers and men don't address MPs and ministers as sir or ma'am. He apparently told one of them that the only civilian who will ever call sir or ma'am is the president of India. Everybody else is Mr. or Miss so and so. So it's just how he rolled and how he expected other people to roll.
See, again, great point of conjecture to go around the entire idea of politics, nation versus
that
army.
I will only accord a certain degree of respect in the formal sense to the supreme commander of the armed forces and the head of state, and not to an elected representative who heads the government of the day. It's but like we are constantly going back to that, right? The film is not remotely curious, and also I just have to get this off my chest. What a thankless soundtrack that was. The film's been in the making for 4 years, and this is what Shankar Ehsaan Loy came up with. The only reason I am listening to Badhte Chalo is because I like the use of the infantry regiment's war cries in it.
Yeah.
That's the only
Of all different kinds of
everything.
So unka Razi ka soundtrack was also quite nice from whatever I remember.
But
Even though it was
two versions of Razi, one poem from Iqbal.
नहीं ए वतन क्या था?
ए वतन is Iqbal, no? ए वतन is
अच्छा, okay, no, but what about the Dilbar one?
एक गाने के लिए थोड़ी ताली बजाऊंगा सर मैं.
सर एक गाना, अरे कुछ तो ताली बजाने लायक था. यहाँ पे तो सर बजा रहा था.
RSVP also made Tejas, so it explains
that explains a lot actually.
They also made Pippa, and somebody said why couldn't they just call Vicky Kaushal to bring in to play the field master. Pippa में भी एक scene है with the field master.
सबको एक Marvel Cinematic Universe बना दो ना, cameo घुसा दो.
सर Marvel Cinematic Universe जैसा ही इसमें वो था, हाँ, कि सैम बहादुर का नाम कैसे बना था. I was like, क्या कर दिया है उस scene में? Like there's the scene where
opening scene.
it
First
was the
scene.
only.
बाद में भी
No,
है.
no, but
which
also,
held
but
me.
also, okay. That's a good opening scene. I understand.
बाद
Why
में,
would you
बाद में.
repeat that scene?
No.
Why would you
Yeah.
repeat
But
that
वो
scene
है
again?
ना, वो भूल गए होंगे, मेरे को एक और बार दिखा
क्या
देना.
भूल गए होंगे?
भूल गए होंगे क्यों? एनिमल देख के घुसे है
Audience.
क्या? एनिमल देख के घुसे है क्या? दिमाग चट गया है वैसे भी.
Also, like it just felt
Through तो गुस्सा.
the whole
नहीं,
Kalki
उल्टा.
cameo and
No,
Kalki,
he
yeah,
was
वो तो
also in
शुरू में.
this, right?
I think
Yeah.
they had a song there which they cut from the film. There's a song
Okay.
on the album called Dum Hai To Aaja, which Sunidhi
Okay.
has sung, and it's not there in the film.
Sure.
Good for
I
them.
think वही होगा.
Okay.
It gave us a decent Sonu Nigam Shreya Ghoshal duet, I suppose.
Yeah, I didn't mind
Silver
that. I was like,
linings.
I was like, ये कहाँ के? I was like,
Sam
आदि
Bahadur,
कौन से
Sam
जमाने
Bahadur
में
का
गा रहे हैं ये
directors का
पिक्चर?
Sam Bahadur का भी directors
Shut
cut आएगा
up.
क्या?
Sam Bahadur is it feels like a film that was made by a committee.
Yeah,
Yes.
it does.
Because it is. Because it is.
Probably, like, Nitin Baid is doing
Or
something, Ronnie
army
Stovall is doing
recruitment.
something.
Since Henry Kissinger wasn't. Sorry.
Huh?
Yeah. और ये हेनरी किसिंजर का सीन क्यों है वहाँ पे? That's my bigger question.
I think they were going to try something with the Americans and the Soviets, and then they abandoned it.
Also to all Indian casting directors, please cast better Americans for the love of
Please
God.
stop
अरे इसमें भी
casting
वो
Edward
था ना.
Snowden.
Yes,
Mufia
please.
Cellular
Casting
License.
Edward
इसमें
Snowden,
तो वो
I'm
था
fed
ना.
up of seeing him everywhere.
अरे वो जो उसमें भी था. अरे
Triple R
जुबली
में.
में.
जुबली
नहीं
में.
जुबली में.
Edward Sonnenblick, same guy.
Yeah, Mount
Yeah,
Lord.
yeah. He's been in
Edward
every.
Sonnenblick. Edward
He has been in
Sonnenblick was also
everything
in
with
RRR.
Bose. He's
Oh,
been
is he in
with
everything?
Bose,
Okay.
Dead or Alive. Him and
Yes.
Zachary Coffin. They are the two like Goras, and Jamie
They are like
Alter
Tom
now.
Alter at this point.
हाँ,
Jamie
Tom
Alter भी
Alter.
मिल गया इनको.
हाँ, अच्छा.
Yes.
आज की पिक्चर में था ना, आर्चीज में था जेमी ऑल्टर.
अरे वाह,
Yeah.
वो भी देखनी है. हाँ.
मत
बाकी
देखो
है
प्लीज
भाई
फॉर द
आधा
लव ऑफ
घंटा.
गॉड.
इसी नोट पे हम बंद करेंगे क्योंकि हम लोगों का डिस्कशन 2 घंटे 40 मिनट के करीब पहुंच चुका है.
Still
और
shorter than Animal.
Still shorter than Animal. Just
I'm
imagine
going
if
to
you
longer
reach
than
that.
my excuse for not editing this will be that only.
Yeah.
कि हमने
We are
हमने
going to
वही
prove
इसको-
to we are going to
Because
prove
the
to
world
Sandeep
needs
Reddy
more.
Vanga what editing is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the world needs more tributes to people like Vanga.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
He wants tributes. Of
He
what
wants
kind,
to-
we don't know.
Yes.
He wants to. Let's not go there.
I can give him a tribute.
wants
I can go
all
to. I
the
can go
alpha
to. I
males
can
to
give him
suck
a
his dick,
tribute. I
that's
can.
what
I
he
can
wants.
piss on his grave when he finally dies. That's the tribute I can give him.
Wow. But grave पे क्यों मरेगा वो?
हाँ.
Oh, George, यहाँ भी मरे. I will piss on it.
गौमूत्र डाल देना.
Yeah. सब चलेगा.
Okay. I think that's it. That's the note that we should end on.
Shall be
but-
my end too.
Okay,
Tomorrow
thank
when
you.
I go out.
Thank
the
you
streets
so
of
much.
Gujarat.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I hope you stuck around for 2 hours, 30 minutes of comedy and
I
annoyance.
mean, you guys have gone and sat through Animal. You might as well.
We expect you to stick through this, huh?
Yeah.
So, anyways,
if you
please
don't,
do.
if you don't sit through this, saying that
Otherwise,
this is
we'll
boring,
show
you guys
you.
watch.
We'll show you what
Yeah.
boring
We
is.
will show you what boring is. We will show
No,
you what
and,
boring
and
is.
I mean, if Ahendrila can watch Animal while cooking and doing other chores, you can also listen to this podcast while cooking.
Yes.
I took 3 seatings to complete that film.
सर मैं तो एक ही में खत्म कर दी.
फिर भी
आपके
नहीं
पास
खत्म.
choice नहीं थी सर, इसीलिए. Theatre
Oh,
वाला-
Of all the
there's-
things, I'm just
wasn't there
glad
an
I saw that
interval?
movie. I'm just glad I saw that movie and I'm getting money for it. Thank you.
What are you saying, Aryan?
But are you getting enough money to cover your ticket?
No,
Yes.
barely.
No,
Wasn't
actually
there-
quite a lot.
Okay. Wasn't there enough? Wasn't there an interval through
हाँ
when you
था.
went today?
था.
हाँ, दुबई में
I'll
होता
be
है.
very honest. I found the experience of watching Animal much less painful than Sam Bahadur. So I can't really.
Because
say
Sam Bahadur से expectation थी.
थी.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
थी.
Animal से
हाँ.
किसी का expectation नहीं था.
हाँ. नहीं, मैं I was expecting.
Crowd, how was the crowd?
एक ही आदमी हंस रहा
Animal.
था. बाकी सब
Animal
चुप
में?
थे. हाँ.
लोग थे मतलब
हंस कौन
वहाँ पे?
रहा था?
आदमी.
आदमी. एक ही अल्फा
वापस-
मेल क्या है यार?
Aspirational
यार भाई?
रणविजय सिंह.
क्या यार
नहीं,
भाई?
नहीं, वहाँ पे यहाँ
इधर
पे
तो देखो कैमरा प्रिंट्स में लड़कियां भी हंस रही है मस्त
No,
मजे
and
कर रहे
isn't
हैं
it weird
ग्रुप के
that
साथ.
उन्होंने एक अल्फा मेल को नाम दिया है रोडीज के होस्ट का?
Yeah.
Yes.
रणविजय.
बट उसको विजय
Meta.
बुलाते हैं ताकि 70s का फिल्म का फील है.
Yes.
Angry young man है
And
ना,
also,
toxic
and
guy.
also it's and also it's hilarious कि people were actually closing their eyes when Ranbir Kapoor's character was actually cutting Bobby Deol's
Yeah,
character's
yeah.
neck out, and I'm like,
ये
ये
कब
देख
होता
के
है?
तुम लोग ये देख के
ये
तुम
कब
लोग का
होता है?
आंख बंद हो रहा है, साले
कट कर दिया
चूतिए हो
होगा
क्या,
शायद मेरे।
साले चूतिए हो क्या, इतना इतना टाइम से मूवी देख रहे हो, कोई आंख बंद नहीं हो रहा है, यहाँ पर आंख बंद हो रहा है, चूतिए साले, हट।
Was it okay? Last question. Was the sound mixing really that obnoxiously
It was
weird
loud.
off and
It is
loud
loud, it
in
is
that
loud.
airport runway fight sequence, or was it the
No, no,
सारी
it was
चुली
very
सारी
loud.
दुनिया जला देंगे, हाँ हाँ, along
very
with our
loud.
eardrums,
Or
along
too
with our
loud.
eardrums, yeah.
I
Too loud. हाँ.
forget it.
आपने तो घर पे देखी थी सर, आप बच कर.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I will lower my tone down because I'm tired also now. I have watched 6 hours of movies today, and then I've also done this discussion, so which is essentially whatever.
Which is essentially too much.
And tomorrow I have to go and
By
watch
the way,
Joram.
this is officially the last time I'm ever going to speak about animals.
That is so not true.
That is
Anyways,
completely true.
that
I'm
is
not
so
talking
not
about
true.
this movie again.
आज के एपिसोड में होगा.
Be prepared to come on Monday because Amartya is going to explode once more. Okay, thank you so much for listening. Please follow all of us on our socials, which we have publicized numerous times, and I don't have the time or energy to do it again. But I will still do it. Okay, fine. At Amartya25 on Instagram, at Aryan Talks Film on Instagram, at the Cinephiles Talk on
Just
Instagram
Cinephiles
also. Oh, at
Just
Cinephiles Talk on Instagram. That anything else, guys?
No, recording तो बंद कर दो.
No, recording बंद करो, हो
खत्म
गया, हो
खत्म
गया, हो
खत्म
गया.
खत्म 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 खत्म